We're back on the road again. Death by banishment. Sending an evildoer into the wilderness with only a flint dagger. It's been a long time since we played this game. And I've been missing this game a lot, actually. I haven't been the only one, too. I've been getting a lot of messages from people who watch. Again, you can email me at any time. And you can say, hey, why haven't you played this game in a while? Or you can comment on the YouTube channel and be like, hey, how come you haven't played these games in a while? Well, guess what? We just haven't had time. We have too many games that we started. But today I was feeling a bit more introspective, right? One of the greatest things that a walk can do for you is that it allows you to think. And the way it allows you to think is that it gives you time to yourself when nothing else matters but the act of walking. And the act of walking is very much, though it is a very physical task, it's also a very automatic task as well. You don't really have to think about when you walk, for the most part. For most people, you don't have to think about how you walk. You just walk. Your legs carry you towards your destination, almost magically. Almost as if it has a mind of its own. In a way, your surroundings pass by you. It's not you walking through a place. It's your surroundings seemingly just moving past you with no rhyme or reason. They all seem to guide you to some place. And I was in a very inquisitive mood today, and we just did the long drive, and so I thought, it'd be really good to play in this inquisitive mindset. Some Roadwarden. This is a game that, we haven't played in a while, and so I'll reorient everyone with what's actually going on here. This is a text-based adventure game. One of the best ones that I've played, and we're not even close to finished. It recently got an anniversary update, which has a whole new ending, which thankfully we still get to see because we haven't made any major choices yet that would have precluded us from that route. They have also released a side story game called Windy Meadows, which we're going to play after we finish this game. So this is one of the games that we're going to be finishing this year before we continue on with new games, okay? And for the most part, though I say text adventure, it's very, very surprisingly visual. It has some of the greatest soundscapes that I've ever heard, and the way that it combines your ability to interact with the world around you and how complex your textual choices get, it feels a lot like you're not reading a book. It feels like you're writing your own story. It's very difficult to get to that point with a text-based game, but I think this game does it very, very well. I also really like the part where at the beginning of every single run you get like a small quote. I think that's very, very fantastic. Just to make sure we have all the things, because I make sure everything's good. I'm pretty sure we have everything good, all the settings are good, because the music in this is fantastic as well. I do want to pull it up just a tiny bit. Now, the problem is that I don't remember exactly what we were doing before. I have some inkling of what we were doing and what our plans were, but not too much. So I do remember, for the most part, we're currently on a very strange set of quests, a large number of them, actually. We need to somehow get more answers about what happened to the previous Roadwarden. So the Roadwarden is a role that you can take in this world. A person who patrols these roads and connects the people along them, right? This is a very medieval, very different kind of place, right? Full of evils. You don't really know what's going on here. There's a lot going on. The Roadwarden acts almost as both a messenger as well as a guardian of those who travel along this road. The one before us has done some terrible things that we're still trying to uncover. We have some clues. They took a job somewhere, worked with some kind of bandit or something, not really sure what. But we need to figure out what exactly they've done. Have I seen Noiter? I have. I have seen Noiter. And I played a little bit of it on my own. You're about to say that it has a similar vibe, right? And I was going to say it too, yes. Yeah, Noiter has a very similar vibes like this. I don't really know how to describe it. Bard Core is a bit too whimsical, I feel like. This just feels more like solemn. I don't really know how to explain it. But it feels and looks very similar. But again, it's just pixel style in general, right? We have a number of other quests as well. So we have, again, the band of this small village that we're in. We're trying to help them so we get more answers about what happened with the previous Roadwarden. But also we're trying to sort of build a barrier between us and them because they're bandits too. But they're not willing to answer any questions for us either. So we need to do a fair number of things to get those answers, and we need to learn more about the raids that have been happening between 3 different places. I think so far we've only gone to one of these places. I think we've gone to the White Marshes, but it's hard to recall. It's been a long time. We need to recruit a hunter because Dalit, it needs people to basically hunt with them. It's how they run the inn over there, and it's how they get all of that money. We found a swamp altar, but we don't really understand how it works. It's near the beginning of the game, basically, in terms of like map. We feed it human blood and it does stuff, but we don't really know what it does. And we have a fair number of other smaller quests that don't really matter. But it's really in the sense of like I don't really understand how useful this will be. For instance, getting the Empress Carp for the druid from the cave gets us one-time access to the healing powers. We can go in the eastern path. The problem is that the eastern path is kind of dangerous, and we know that the shortcut is going to piss off the druids as well. So we have to make a choice at some point. Do we want to piss off the druids, or do we want to get there faster? I'm not really sure yet. In general, as a Roadwarden, as a new Roadwarden, we need to help people around us. We are now responsible for the world around us, and that includes the people in it. Now, we have a responsibility to them, but as best as we can. But that also means that we can't really take too many sides either. We can't just say like, oh, like you're more important than someone else. It's kind of hard to. Because of that, it's kind of difficult to recall what we were doing just before we stopped. I have some inkling of it, but for the most part, I think we're still trying to figure out how to get even further. So, you may recall from this map, I do recall going all the way to the woodland edge, and there was something beyond this point that was very, very scary. The guard here asked us for something, actually. If I remember, the guard somewhere around here. God, if I could remember where that guard was. But there was something that guard wanted us to do, because that guard mentioned that beyond this point was going to be significantly more dangerous than anywhere else we had been. He either told us to get prepared for it, or bring him something to help. I can't quite recall exactly what, but I know for sure that we're not ready. Just getting there took us from 4 vitality down to 1 vitality, if I recall correctly. So we can't really go east yet. We haven't been, I think, north nor west, and I do want to try checking out those places as well. Because again, the mountain pass is gone. There's a rock slide. We can't exactly go anywhere else from like Howler's Dell. Like there's no path down like here, for instance. Oh, you can't see these swimming else. Like there's no path down like here, for instance. All we really can do is go upwards. And again, we know a bit about what's happening near the northern side, right? They rely a lot on their fishing industry. And I think they export some sort of like other resource that like happens to come by from the sea. I'm pretty sure it's salt. They seem to be very prosperous up there as well. But it also means that we may need to be cautious when we walk in, because as an outsider, as a Roadwarden, no one really knows us yet, except for a title. But the old Roadwarden did go down that path, and something happened up there. So we have to be fairly careful about this. I have 1 vitality. And the problem is that you can't wait for too long, right? So, again, this is all just exposition to get you all caught up to speed, and also for me to recall as much as I can. There's a time limit to this game. There's a set number of days, so we have to get everything done. If we wait for too long, for instance, so we're on day 5, I think we have 30 days, roughly, to get everything done. If we wait for too long and, we don't have any more days left, it's over, right? You lose or you win, I'm assuming based on how much progress you've, made. So it seems like we're 35 days. I do want to rest before we go forward north. We do have a bit of money, I believe. I checked my inventory here. We have 7 food rations, 2 coin pouches. I forgot we had troll urine. We haven't been able to use that yet. I think we use it at some point for some monsters on the way to this town, but it hasn't been very useful otherwise. So we'll have to see what to do. I think we will do a bit of a small rest here, though, just so we can prepare for the journey up ahead, going towards the north, because there's no way we're going to survive if we go to the east. And I don't think we want to piss off the druids just yet. They have a one-time healing ability that I think is going to be very, very handy, considering that we've never met another healer in this entire place. I stream Noida, you'd love that game. I've thought about it here and there, but it's hard for me to start roguelike games in general. I want to make sure that I'm in the right mindset of it. So let's just take a rest here. Resting, but you'll spend the entire day taking care of small chores and allowing your shell and soul to rest. Your shell being your body outside, your soul being who you are internally. Or we can rest at the inn. The staff will take care of all of the chores, and I'll receive a fancy meal. Heals 2, but it costs, and it also gives me 3 food, but I'm already full of food. It also costs 2 coins. Actually, maybe I shouldn't even bother resting then. It seems like a waste of an entire day, considering that it's still daytime at this point. We have 15 hours before dusk, and there's not really much that we need to do. We have everything that we need, and I don't think there's anything major about the quest lines here as well. We have enough information to try to figure out where Asterion went. We know about this Sauron, his lizard, his giant basilisk lizard with whatever dinosaur mount. We didn't really get any answers as to, like, you know, how we can move through the east. They simply warned us about going through it. It was way too dangerous. And if we go north again, we get to move towards Old Pagos. You know what? I'm gonna make an executive decision. We're gonna go forward north from the west path. How do I travel again? I forget. How do I travel? Sorry, chat. It's been a while. Just give me a moment. I'm currently in Halley's Dell. How do I leave? I leave the square. There we go. You're wandering through the village. Two men in light clothing are carrying a wooden log, insulting each other in friendly banter. A field walker walks by you, coughing loudly as he tries to open his wallet skin. I don't need to tailor anything. Again, my armor is quite good. Until I get better armor, at least. I also don't have any way to offer my services to the guards themselves. And there's a quest as well here that somebody's trying to find a partner that they can be with. I don't really know why they wanted a partner. I think it was just for some matchmaking thing, but we'll have to see. Let's go to the western crossroads and see what's going on over here. There's some sort of skirmish happening in the nearby bushes, but the dense leaves block your view. You are painful wine, the plants stop shaking. Now, I don't remember where these signposts lead. We know south goes to Haller's Dell, east goes towards that like pathway that is incredibly dangerous, incredibly difficult to go through. We can't even go through the gates at the end of the eastern pathway. So, let's remind ourselves what exactly is to the east. I'm aiming to go towards Old Pagos or the White Marshes. If we look at the western signpost, there's two planks attached to a single post, both of them nailed with a rusty steel. The lowest sign is divided in two halves. The left edge is engraved with four simple shapes, squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. The other edge bears two engraved piles, one of them made of horizontal rectangles, the other of inexact circles. The letters between these two piles say stone. The upper plank is covered with a Roadwarden monastery that was divided in half. Right below it is an engraved vertical rectangle with an hourglass inside it. I forgot. Yes, I do remember that being the monastery, which I believe is the White Marshes. 99% the White Marshes, I think. Yes. It's a part of the Western Bogs. And if we go north, where does that lead us? It's attached with nails made of pointy carved bones and divided into three sections covered with small engravings. So, again, when you see bones on a sign, what's that a sign of? Danger. Great danger. The part on the left has three large squares with roof-like lines hanging above them. No other pictures or words. Three large squares with roof-like lines hanging above them means that there are many people living there, okay? That's three houses. Many people live here. The one in the middle has only one square, but also a simple, horizontal symbol of a fish and a short word. Beneath, it spells salt. And Old Pagos, if we recall from our, I believe, a journal, because it also has a thing of, like, places and stuff. They're known for having salt and fishes, exchanging their, like, stone for, like, things. But again, it's hard to tell. It's been a while since I've played this game, so we'll have to figure it out as we go. The image on the right is two roof squares, but also two other images which you recognize easily. A deer in a standing barrel. That should be an inn of some kind. North, especially since it's going to be late soon in 14 hours, I think is the safer place to go. But I also want to switch around this area to see if there's anything here. I think it doesn't help. You notice the remains of berries of pears, but most of them are already rotten, spread close to the wooden stools at the side of the road. The nearby creek is not impressively deep, but a big beaver dam, for some reason, taller than you are, makes it wide, and waters the surrounding soil. A few steps away from the southern signpost, you find something sticking out of a shrub. It's a moist plank, covered by fungi. You try to move it with a stick and a gloved hand. After a minute or so, you confirm it's an abandoned sign, covered with green letters and colorful pictures of flowers and trees. Steep House, you read with difficulty. This is interesting. There's a new sign that was broken down from this. And I can either, I now have more options, right? I could have read the four existing signs. But I can also try to find out where that old sign used to be attached and find a path towards it. Because again, colorful pictures of flowers and stuff, and Steep House. I don't know what that means, but Steep House, I imagine, is more of like a large, like, log, kind of like a log-like house with where you can get, like, it feels like one of those, like, larger places, like almost like a group house. I wonder if the colorful flowers and, like, trees as well denotes that this is like a druid haven, which would be interesting to sort of see. I also take another look at the destroyed sign to see if I can see anything else. Nothing else really. It's the same basically. I try to find out where the old sign used to be attached. The southern post is the only one with holes left by nails. And the southern post is the one that we know about. Down there, we know for sure that the Sleep House and the Druids, we've already talked to them. It was the Elder, right? He has the quest for us. We already know what's going on. I was hoping it'd be something new, in which case, again, I don't think our plans change very, very much. We just go north, at least to someplace safe, and then we'll figure out where to go from there. So if I go all the way up to north, see what happens. Some parts of the road lead uphill, some downhill. The forest lush, but not too dark. The field foraging deer and boars keep their distance. The birds are disinterested in your presence, singing cheerfully and preening their feathers. Sounds of an ongoing hunt reach you from the east, but none of the nearby creatures seem bothered. Once you get farther north, the colorful meadow reveals tall hills on the other side of the stream, but the road leads through a valley. There's a gentle plume of smoke coming from one of the mountains in the west. That's interesting. That's very, very interesting. There are tall hills on either side of the stream, but we had to go through a valley. Now, I don't know about you, but having to go through an enclosed space where there's no way to, go but forwards or backwards seems a bit dangerous. I'm also worried about things falling on me, right? We've had a number of terrible things happen to us at this point. Again, we have 1 vitality left. I don't really want to risk too much of it here. There's also a bit of a dangerous thing that we need to deal with as a wall. There's a fair number of birds, so we know for sure that this is a very wild place, right? Birds, though they go anywhere, the fact that they're able to just sing cheerfully and they're just here implies that there's not much activity in terms of civilized people here, right? It's very, very wild. We also hear the sounds of an ongoing hunt from the east, and that means that if we go eastward, we may be in a bit of a we may come across some trouble. A plume of smoke, however, coming from one of the mountains in the west implies something very, very different, right? Where the east is wild and the north is a bit dangerous, to the west, there could be people. I can't imagine any of the creature that we've read about in this game is able to start fires, except for maybe, I think there was one subgroup, there were the beast folk and stuff, but I don't think they know how to start fires. So maybe we could go west and see what's going on. It doesn't look like a place on fire. Maybe there's a settlement in the mountains. The road leads to a gentle creek, so we've gone westward again, by that choice. Filled with buzzing of flies, mosquitoes, and gnats. Oh, we're gonna get malaria. Jesus Christ. You don't spot any critters among the tall trees, tree branches, or rocky slopes. Seeing the shapeless, dark vortex of wings, Yogi, our horse, my beautiful horse, also named after my beautiful dog, snorts. You're currently on the southern bank. That's just kind of annoying. If I had an alchemy table, I could have made a protective ointment against dead bites. I could decide to just, hurry Yogi and be like, hey, we have to go across and I don't really care. But again, I have 1 vitality left. I don't really want to risk this. I do want to save, though, just in case. You know what? Yes, we're going to do, again, we're trying to do more of an Iron Man run, but, since I haven't played this in a while, let's just give myself some leeway for this one particular section. I could instead say, I can instead take some time to take care of myself and wrap myself with every piece of clothing that I own, which I don't think is very much if I look at exactly what I have. I mean, all I have is all I'm wearing. I do have a gambeson, isn't really much, and not really many other things. Maybe something in my travel set. I'm not really sure. I have a teeth cleaning set and oak ash soap, which isn't going to be handy. Here, it's not really it's not really going to do anything here for me. I can ride forward with a blazing torch, or I can look for a different route. There's also the risk of actually trying to go through the bank, right? Flowing water, you don't really know what's going to happen to you. I imagine it should be mostly safe, but I don't really know if I want to ride forward with a blazing torch. Again, I'm going to have to be very good at being able to swat away all these bugs, yeah? I really don't want to get sick here. And I think wrapping ourselves up may be the only option here. We take some time, we go safe, so very early in the morning, we've only been 3 hours in, it's worth it. It's longer than you would hope for, but you manage to cover yourself with an armor of at least 3 layers of linen, leather, wool, and hemp. Only your eyes and a single finger remain without cover. Once you get close to the fort, countless creatures beset you, making you instantly shut your eyes. They're striking the clothes, covering your open mouth, and in your shell like a squishy, buzzing hail. You ride forward blindly, trying to get out of here as fast as you can, but the insects stick with you for another few minutes. The red marks in your fingers start to burn slowly. Yogi switches its tail angrily as it turns its head to its left, observing you with one reproachful eye, pinning its ears back. You look around to make sure nothing will try to jump on you. Once you decide you're safe, you take off the suit. Once you find an easier way to protect yourself, the insects will keep slowing me down. Damn. Well, at least I kept my blood. But it means that there's nothing much that I can do here. There's no way I can travel through like I just tried to. There's simply no way. There are too many insects. Yeah. Well, no, actually, no. I did make it through. Okay, good. So we did make it through. It's more about in the future then. In the future, this will always happen to me then. Unless I find an easier way to protect myself. That's a good sign. We can now continue at least northward to see what's going on here. We took no light damage, which is good. But most of the time, you're surrounded by yellow meadows. The trees on your left get sparser, while the few lonely birches on your right still bear the signs of tapping, marked with knife cuts, tied with cords. Some still carry wooden vessels as if they were simply abandoned. Maybe last spring, maybe before that. Tapping is the act of, I know this because I'm Canadian and we do this for maple syrup. Tapping is the act of, basically putting a hole inside of a tree and sucking out its sap. There's a fair number of uses, right? Resin from trees is used for many useful crafts. It's a very good, glue-like substance. Amber is used, at least now, for more decorative purposes, but back then it used to be used for a fair number of things. But also, you can get a fair number of nutrients from it as well. Tree sap you can use as a way to, burn things for a long period of time. It's very sticky, it's very easy to burn, and it lasts a surprisingly long time. You can get more and more of it over time as well, because it's not like the tree dies by you tapping it. It just keeps on bleeding out, effectively. And if you're lucky, the tree may have, actual food from it, right? So maple syrup, for instance, you can tap a maple tree, basically. Get maple syrup and you can refine it down into that ooey gooey deliciousness that you put on your pancakes. Pretty good. A few of the trees are already dried out, and the winds managed to knock them down. As you get closer to the crossroads, the ground gets muddy. The beaten path avoids the wetlands as much as it can. The screeches and hisses mix with the buzzing of insects. And as you reach a small pond, there are signs of blood on its bank. The air is moist and heavy, and has a hint of rotting meat to it. It may still be early, very early in fact, but it's better to avoid the bogs when nighttime approaches. Such places rarely have fine roads. That much I agree with. You never really know what's inside of a bog, too. But it also means that at nighttime, we really don't want to go there. You know what I mean? And it seems like, actually, it's reflected in the gameplay mechanic as well. So, again, this game does a lot with the text-based stuff. As you go into different areas, there are different effects and stuff. And it'll explain it to you in the form of these pop-ups, right? So this pop-up, for instance, says, bogs are darker than forest. The local creatures start their hunt up to Sorry, I'm so gassy. Up to an hour earlier. And I believe an hour earlier being, not exactly after 11 hours. I think it's after, 4 or 5 hours now. It's pretty early. The trees and bushes are sparse here, growing for the barren grassland. Some of them bear late summer fruits. A group of wayfarers are spread around the broken signpost and the abandoned cart. They're skinny, but healthy, and are standing upright. They're wearing humble, dim gambesons on top of their hemp tunics and pants, all of them worn, in some cases undyed, while others are dark green or brown. This is kind of scary, knowing that there are people here again, because I don't know what the old Roadwarden did. I only know that they did some very terrible things here and there, and we may have to bear the consequences of their actions. I'm really hoping not. So far, we've met a lot of good people, but again, I don't know when we'll ever meet a bad person. This may be the first. 4 of these individuals wear cloaks. They're armed with spears, bows, and stone maces. On their necks, wrists, and belts, you spot small talismans. Fangs, bones, wooden beads, leather straps. Talismans. Usually the act of both the pagans and, consequently, then the druids. I imagine, then, maybe these are people that we can converse with, because, again, we ourselves are mostly pagan, I believe. If we look at how our character has ended up, which I believe it's somewhere here. Character, here we go. You can see that we go towards slightly paganism. We've decided to say that we are more humanistic about things, that we are less, drawn to any particular faith like the other people in this land are in certain places. There's also the 5th figure, standing a bit in the back with lowered shoulders. Unlike the others, they're hooded, and in such a manner that you doubt they can see anything other than their boots. Their clothes are shabby, torn, but your eyes mostly run to their club. A bow as long as its owner is as tall and as thick as a leg. resting with one end on the ground. You get closer. The person raises the weapon with just one arm, but another traveler gestures for them to stop, and they do so right away, freezing in place. This person is strong. A club as thick and as tall as they are, massive even, and they're able to hold up with one single arm. This is not a group to be messed with. And also, we know their leader now, that they're willing to talk to each other and that they have, a sense of either rapport or respect. I'm not really sure which yet, but they have a certain hierarchy here. I stay in my saddle just in case. It's the only option I have. The man behind the gesture doesn't approach you, just nods. Safe travel, stranger. It may be early, but bogs aren't safe. Better keep moving. You'll find an inn. You try to digest his thick accent. He's broad-shouldered, with a large belly, but the scars on his face sculpt an image of someone who's earned their share of food with many skirmishes. He doesn't reach for his weapon, and pushes one of his companions closer to the cart. She kneels by an empty box and looks inside it. The man observes you with a little curiosity. Now, we've had these dialogue options before, but again, as a primate, since we haven't played this in so long, we get to choose how we react to these conversations. So we get to choose, between being friendly, we can be supportive and cordial. We can be playful, using a joke or a witty comment. We can be distant and hide our emotions, hide who we are. In general, just give nothing away. Very, very neutral. We can be intimidating, try to overpower someone, hint at a threat. We can also be very vulnerable. We can be sad, tired, afraid, or hopeless. I don't really know how to gauge this situation, right? It would be remiss of me to even think of trying to intimidate them, considering how strong they are. Who am I? Though I may have the title of a Roadwarden, it doesn't really make me any more special than anyone else. The one thing that this game really hammers into you that I remember very clearly because of how good of a lesson it was, is that you ultimately are nobody in this world. You're nobody, you're nothing. Though you may be a Roadwarden, you're no more special than the people that you meet on this road, for better and for worse. It means that at any moment I could die just as they do. My shell does not fully reflect my soul in this case. And so I don't really want to be intimidating in this case. But I also don't really want to hide myself and be neutral and distant. I maybe want to try and build some level of rapport, because I think it'd be handy to have this group of wanderers on my side in some way. I imagine this won't be the last time I see them, right? Look at the map and look at what's going on. Once same part of the woods, now neglected, the old forest garden. I imagine getting to know them might be the most beneficial for me, considering that there's nothing else around here. It also kind of makes me wonder. We know that there's a band of bandits around here, right? Run by, I believe, Glockia was the name. Let's just make sure. Glockia's band. Orthes. No, yeah. Glockia. The problem is that I don't really know if this band is a part of her band or if it's like an entirely separate band. And so it's like, I wonder if I can get in good with her subordinates even, if I can figure out who they belong to, who their allegiances lie with. Again, I couldn't really tell from the way they dressed. I just know that they're a bit more wild and that they're not necessarily a group that has been with civilization for a long period of time. It seems like they've been on the road more often than not, considering that they have, bones and fangs as trinkets worn on their body. But I also don't know if being necessarily friendly is the best thing to do, but they at least have given me the ability to feel like I can take that option without feeling like it's a bad move, right? They have decided immediately. I think the larger, stronger person will, with the giant club, simply reach for the club out of fear. But I think this is their invitation almost to say like, hey, why are you here? You want to talk? There's a possibility, right? And also, he wouldn't just send someone away to go closer to the cart if he felt like he was in danger or if he felt like he wanted to do something, right? He would have kept them by his side. So let's try to be friendly here. I nod at the cart. Need any help? He makes an annoyed grimace. Fuck. Okay, that was a bad move. This was a bad move. No, really? This timber's sickening. Moldy and wet. We're checking on the place. But seems a bad year for it. He looks at his companions. He simply shrugs and spreads to take a look at the cart. All but the one with the bow, who doesn't move an inch. I cannot say I've time to loaf. Questions? Ask, but be quick. Don't put us to sleep. Okay, well, this is gonna be interesting. I shouldn't ask them if that's their cart, because that seems a bit threatening. Maybe I can ask them if they're from around here. That seems like the most neutral thing to ask. Like, hey, You have to know this area, and then they can be like, oh, who am I? I'd be like, I'm a Roadwarden. And then they can shank me and they can take all my stuff. So, 50-50. I could instead look at the hood plates and say, what's up with this one? I feel like that's a great way to get clubbed in the back of the head, so maybe I won't. And I could also gesture for them to please clear the way I'm going on. That may be the best thing to do, but I want to see what's going on first, okay? Like, I don't want to leave without answers. Information is just as valuable as resources in this world. Are you from around here? Very much so. And you're new to this roads? You know our home? Maybe. Do I want to bluff and say maybe, or do I want to say no clue? Let's try bluffing. Well, not very bluffing, but my memory has been shot to hell, so let's say maybe. What do you think the name of the village is? Oh, fuck. Okay, wait. Think back to what we know. We're going north, right? We're going towards some place. North is where? Oh, fuck. Okay, chat, this might be very, very bad. North is where, okay? West was a stone monastery. And, man, the hard part is like... It's the stone monastery. Old Pagos means hill and they're on barren soil. And they exchanged their stone. So I'm assuming actually Old Pagos is to the west. And also, like, these guys don't really seem like they're very religious either. To the east is not... wait, but to the west is the White Marshes. Fuck, maybe it is Old Pagos. Hovlevin is the very start of the game, like where it came from. Heart to the Forest is that it connects to the monastery in the west with the watchtower in the east. Gale Rocks. Well, it could be Gale Rocks actually, because yeah, this is the name of the fisher village, right? The locals are unfriendly, but got more talkative once I helped them with a few tasks. Could be Gale Rocks. It could also be the bandits' camp somewhere. Actually, no, we know where the bandits' camp is because we were able to talk to them. No, but it could be them as well. It could be them. Because they're also in the north, right here. According to the scavenger, they're somewhere in the north in some sort of hideout. I started the western road and no soul bothered me. According to the druid from the cave, Asterion was planning to get rid of the bandits. Okay, you know what? I'm going to say that they're from Gale Rocks. We're gonna take this is a really bad choice. If I went to the west, I could have maybe avoided all of this. The woman searching through the boxes giggles. Thankfully not. They're not even close, she mutters. The scarred man nods in agreement. They're far. We used to trade, but no longer. Maybe then, what's another place I can think of then? All the way to the north, right? There's not too many places. I could say the bandits' camp, but that'd be a crazy thing to, like, throw at them. You know what? Yeah, let's try bandits' camp. Bandits' camp. What? What'd you say? You calling me a bandit? Oh god, okay. Is there any quest I can give you some clues, right? We know that to the north is the Gale, the Gale Rocks. But is there anything else that I've heard about going northward? I don't think there is. Damn it. It could be the creeks. Could be the creeks, actually. The creeks. Thankfully not even close. Well, you tried. He raises the spear and puts it on his shoulders, holding it with both hands. White marshes there. Lots of crossroads leading east. An old place. Plenty of stories there, but they don't reach the ears of strangers. Fuck. Man, I really misread the situation. Maybe if I played this game from when we stopped, maybe then I'd be able to figure it out. But that was a very poor place. I'm glad that this conversation didn't end up being poor, and I'm glad that the people of White Marshes are relatively sane. Like, they have a necromancer problem, but for the most part, they're not too bad. As far as I've heard, you can help them and they'll help you, if that makes sense. Plus, you should be fine. Tell me about your village. It's home. Starts to play with the spear. As much a home as the bogs can be. Beasts are smaller than the woods. But what is the real threat? Is it rough living in the... I do not want to mention Asterion, because Asterion was trying to do some crazy stuff. Is it rough living in the wetlands? No, it's rough living with robbers on one side and that fake smiling rat that leads howlers on the other. So he's talking about Theus. He says to the delight of his group. You look at him, but he says nothing more. How can I reach the White Marshes? It's not so hard if your bones are food with you. Right down the road, turn left, and take a gift to Thyrsis, the warden of the peat fields. He'll open the creepers for you. Seeing your look, he carries on. You're doing the right path. One that'll take you to the village. So I have to do... I do need an offering of some kind. I don't have bones, I don't think. I have a fish strap. I have alchemical ingredients, but no bones. I need to kill something. Maybe he takes a troll urine? I'm not really sure. I have 2 coins. Oh god, I need to take a gift of some kind. Anything dangerous between here and there? Water hides sirens. Don't let your horse drink. Just stay in the road all the time. When the woman chips in. And don't follow voices or lights. Weird beasts lure humans into death. And don't touch the creepers. So now we know, if my horse gets thirsty, we should not go. We should not let Yogi drink. He then stretches out and gets closer to the signpost, using his spear as a walking stick. Well, stay safe, stranger. He raises his voice and addresses his companions. We wasted too much time on this froth. Time to get back. The others prepare their own weapons and join the guide. The one with the bow stays silent until a gentle gesture commands him to follow. They keep up with the rest of the group, dragging the club behind themselves with a remarkable strength. I could spend a few minutes foraging for wild plants, because it's going to be a fairly rough journey, I suppose. And because there's no other option. Like, it's really just telling us we need to prepare for a journey. We will prepare for it. Most of what you find are large apples, not as sour as the wild ones, and some wild strawberries. Peel them takes a little effort. The short middle hides are nothing more dangerous than rats, rabbits, mice, and grasshoppers, and with the help of your mounts, you can reach into the higher branches. I pack them into nets and bags. So now I've got a bunch of snacks here. It's very, very good. Got a bunch of wild plants and fruits. Not very filling, but at least it's something. I have a lot of rashes anyway, so it doesn't really matter. Now, again, he did say if I go towards the... Which way did he say I could go? I don't recall which way he said we could go. Thank God. Thank God there's a thing here. We can continue down the road and take a left, okay? So if I look at the map very carefully, the road continues onward this way. Like to the right side, basically heading towards east. However, this down road, I think this down road leads back down here towards the woodland edge, which is a bit of a fascinating connection if you think about it. I don't know why it does this. I imagine just because, you know, this is like an alternate way in that is a bit less annoying to deal with because the gate, I believe, had some sort of kind of check on it, but I can't remember what. If I had failed the gate in the first place, I imagine we would have had to take this old forest garden path. But we've already passed through the gates. We have free access, so it should be fine. We don't need to do this path. But let's just make our way towards the White Marshes. Let's not explore too much, because again, once it hits nighttime, plus 1 hour, we're basically doomed. We have one single vitality. You leave the wetlands behind. The road runs through the hillside, with tall grasses and rock-faced faces above you, and dark, lush forest below. Chunks of the path were shaped by human tools, who knows how many centuries ago. To widen it, the builders dug through the uneven boulders and used rocks and logs to fill the cavities with thousands of rocks, each one smaller than your fist. While you may have a good view of what's happening between the trees on your right, the bushes and shrubs grow so densely between them that you can't imagine entering these woods on your own. Farther south, there are plumes of smoke. 100% a settlement, but again, we know that the people of White Marches left their original settlement because of necromancy. The locals have begun to awaken the dead to use them as workers, right? It could be scary here depending on what we see. So I'm hoping that we get on their good graces. And this is, one of the fascinating aspects of this game. You may notice that the map here all of a sudden, there's this void in the middle. It's because you only know what you know, right? As a new Roadwarden, being newly appointed by the is it the city? Is it the kingdom? Is it the capital? Not really sure. But as a new Roadwarden, sorry, just fixing the mic here. We have no way to understand what's inside of the White Marshes. We've never been here, right? We don't have an understanding of the lay of the land here. The only way to know is by entering in. And when you do enter, that's when you know. But for the most part, you can treat it very much like your regular old RPG where you walk around, except your interface with the world is through a text. It's a very, very well done game. I really like it a lot, right? A lot of different small elements, and it still feels like a very complex game where you're in control. Again, it's the only game that I've ever found where you get to write your own story fully. But it also includes these elements that you're familiar with from other games like Fog of War, without, having to gain information to then understand what's inside. At the top of the hill, you reach a stone wall. Quiet place with no smoke coming from behind it. You look inside and see the glimpse of a peaceful ruin. While the main road is beaten and easy for hooves to trod, the destroyed gates and the remains of the front yard have almost been reclaimed by the short grasses. You seek any suspicious movement, but the place seems to be free of inhabitants larger than a falcon. The air is fresh, and the wind shakes the tree crowns gently. At any moment, we could leave. This is a small hamlet that could still be used as a stop for travelers, right? At any moment. It's mostly abandoned, it's run down. Sorry, I'm so gassy. And so we don't really know what we're going to find inside of here. It could be anything. And I know we're very, very weak. And I'm going to save, and we're not really doing Iron Man for a while, at least until I feel comfortable with the game again. But we need to know what's inside. The hamlet could be a hunter's shelter, a military outpost, or a storehouse for traders, but you spot no fresh human trails. The damaged door and gates are years old, soggy and moldy, and judging by the squirrels, birds, and the animal feces you see in the grass, this place is but a part of the wilderness. The roof collapsed only a few years back, turning it into food for mushrooms. Yet the wall looks generations old, but it used to be maintained. Some of its materials came from different times and areas. Let's go behind the building first, get a lay of the land around so we know what exactly to. Oh my god. The chaos sparks right after you approach the tree stump. The dusk fox's growls sound like a mix of a noxious bird and an infant. One of the animals, standing only a few feet away from you, is jumping and showcasing its tiny, sharp teeth, a raccoon-like black mask on its little head. The animal with its thick, brownish-gray fur seems more stout than any red fox. A dusk fox. I don't even know what this is. This is the first time ever seeing one, I believe. I wonder if we can see anything else but this cat, foxes and such. Oh no, there's nothing. There's still more that we need to learn. The second loud creature jumps onto a table made of a halved trunk. Unlike the first one, it has a brighter golden fur. It bends one of its forelegs, observing you with its dark eyes, not furious nor scared, rather sad and protective. Its growl turns into a miserable whine. That's interesting. We need to keep note of this. The beasts are not even waist high, but the number may be an issue. There's yet another sound coming from behind you, and even more from the bushes nearby. I believe this is a family of them. We're going to use our knowledge here, okay? The thing is that I don't think these animals want to do anything to us. I think they're just trying to be protective of what they have behind here. I probably should have gone inside the building to look out the window over here, but it's too late now. Now I have knowledge, right? My background of my character that I chose through a series of choices means that I have a fair bit more knowledge than your average person out here, okay? I've been educated within the main city of Hovleven, I believe inside of a temple. Let's see what I can recall in this time of need. I have enough time to judge the situation clearly. You take a quick glance and memorize your surroundings. There's 3 large creatures in your proximity. The third one is right behind you, while loud it's lumbering on its paws. The noises from the bushes belong to little pups, most likely harmless, though they're doing their best to imitate their guardians. Your sharp senses allow you to react right away. Now, I don't want to kill any of them, right? I don't want to kick them. I don't want to just go ahead and kick them as quickly as I can because they're little pups. I doubt they're really trying to kill me here. They're just trying to protect themselves. I can block their charge. I raise my hands and prepare myself to strike back. But again, these are 2 dice roll actions, right? Very very D&D like. You roll a dice based on your attributes. You hope for the best. But I know exactly the one behind me. It's weaker than the others, so I can run for it. You pass the weaker fox and run towards your belongings, encouraging the beast to chase you all the way to the gate as they growl with determination. For now, they stay in the shelter, filled with the pride. Me and Yogi take a few steps away, okay? This place was already abandoned, and so I'll let the dust foxes stay. They aren't threatening anyone, or I could get rid of these creatures and see what's inside. The thing is that if I get rid of them, I don't really know the consequences of that. There's not really much inside of here, and the more that we risk fighting against nature, the more that we risk, the mist coming out and doing some bad things, right? We know that nature is very much a living being in these parts, and that it doesn't just exist as a concept, as a concept, an archetype, or some sort of abstraction. It is a real living force here, and that's why the druids themselves even have so much power. This place is abandoned. I'm gonna let them live. They're not threatening anyone. I don't want to get too crazy about this for an abandoned building that probably has nothing. is what I would say if I'm not a bit of a psychopath. Let's get rid of these creatures. You search your bundles. My axe is enough. With the axe in hand, you enter the hamlet. The dusk foxes react right away, seeking new positions as they try to keep you in the front yard. The lumbering beast is running to your right, clinging to the wall, hoping to repeat its attack from behind. The golden one jumps on the tree stump, growling at you as it lowers its head. The last one, which seems to be the bravest, remains in constant movement, pretending to attack you, then moving back. The pups stay far behind, relying on their protectors. I have a couple options here, okay? And I know this is crazy, but I really, really do want to try to, like, get this stuff here. I have to be faster. So I can take a couple of options here, and they seem to use different things, right? I can try to be faster than there, and put my trust in my blade. I take the initiative, keep moving, and cut whenever I have a chance. I'm very weak. I'm barely standing. I don't really have much energy, so I don't really know how effective this is going to be. I need to use all of my strength. I'll let them get close, ready to cut only a few times, but for good. This may be the most riskiest one. Considering that, again, I'm barely standing. I have no strength. I am fully fed though, so it's for physical struggles. Like, I do have the strength to do it, but one wrong move, if I let them get like close, then I'm dead. I need to rely on my gambeson, focusing on my legs and hands. With a few lucky hits, I can scare them off. So my armor is actually very, very good, right? I don't really know what's the best choice here. My armor may be good, but one wrong hit and I'm dead. At least getting close to me, I can cut them down and end it entirely. I don't want them to come back and deal with me later. I have the strength and the nourishment for it. Let's cut them down. Well, shit. The brave fox is nimble, but your precise, powerful swing is quick enough to land. The whining beast moves away, leaving a trail of blood behind it. The weakest creature approaches your leg while you're getting hit by the golden critic, clinging to your armored shoulder with its claws and reaching for your neck. You're conscious enough to grab it and throw it away, making it hit the wall with an unpleasant thud, though your hand also gets scratched pretty badly. God damn, your blood remains cold. The pain scares away the two stronger foxes. The third one is unwilling to attack you without assistance. You raise your blade, and they wait no longer. The stronger two run for the pups, grab them by the necks, and keeping them at a distance, carry them to the hole in the wall near the bare tree. They get through it with confident jumps. Before the lumbering one disappears into the wilderness, it gives the pack shelter one last glance. I took some damage on my hand, lots of vitality. I'm on the verge of death, and it affects my appearance. So much so that I'm going to cough in real life. Oh god. You're so lucky that I made it in my time. Thankfully I'm not dead. I'm on the verge of death, but I'm not dead. I feel kind of bad now. Like the human inside of me kind of goes like, why did I do that? Because it looked back at the shelter and was like, man, this was a great place to live. I just came in, kicked out a bunch of squatters, and just took over their home. I'm going back to Yogi. Yogi is swishing its tail, trying to get rid of a couple of obnoxious flies. I enter the ruined building. It's a simple chamber with no furniture that would explain its purpose. The fireplace is buried beneath the roof. You inspect the walls made of hundreds of small rocks dressed with a chisel. The trash is heavy from the moisture. You push it with your boot, what starts a commotion among gray, disoriented bugs. Removing the rubble would take some effort, but for now it doesn't look like there's anything of value left behind. With enough wood, a group of builders could restore this hamlet in just a few days. And I lack the strength, but now we have a new option now, right? Again, this hamlet is a bit strange, right? It could be used as a stop for travelers, so I could at any point go to any of these places. I don't know which major town in general, but I could go somewhere and ask somebody to rebuild this place. I imagine for a fairly hefty sum, but at least still, we'd have an extra stop along the way between here and the White Marshes. Again, as a Roadwarden, it's my job to maintain the roads, and this includes the places along the roads. Kind of annoying that I didn't have the strength, kind of annoying that I lost a lot of my strength in that one encounter. Kind of annoying that I maybe should have gone for safety instead. I didn't really realize how dangerous it would be. But hey, at least we now know what's possible here for the future if I can come back here. Let's take a look around now. What am I looking for or paying attention to? Example gate, stump. It's hard to say if these trees were cut to use their lumber as very shelter or to carry them away. The stumps are already reclaimed by the fungi and bugs. There's also one trunk that was split in half horizontally, now serving as a table. Let's look for something else. Fox. Either you don't find it or I can't understand you. Oh. Tree. The trees, especially the one that grew into the wall, visibly struggle to survive in local soil, but still serve as a shelter for birds and squirrels. You notice claw marks on the trunks, but you don't think they belong to the dust foxes. They're way too large. If humans were to return to this place, it may take some time before the beasts realize this place is inhabited. So even though we may rebuild it, we're gonna need some safety to keep it, stable. One of the hamlet's corners seemingly served as an outside dining area, or maybe a spot to play games and rest. There's a table made from a trunk, stumps turned to seats, and even an old wooden cup. Now all of these things are getting overtaken by bugs and fungi. The spot is also not so overgrown by grasses. The beaten path leads in two directions. Towards the bushes and a large tree stump, and towards the hamlet's entrance. What about the bushes? You start with the bushes growing in the front yard, not finding anything unusual about them, but you stop for longer at those growing just next to the rock face. The spot here smells with urine, and as you move the leaves away, you find a dark cave behind them. You can't say for sure what it hides, but you hear no water or draft. The wild plants are healthy. I'm too tired to remove these plants by chopping them, I have no vitality, so I could eventually come back and deal with them, right? I want to look around. Let's see the wall. The other wall looks generations old, but it used to be maintained. So some of its materials came from different times and eras. Having no parapet, walk, or a tower, it was meant to interfere with the roaming path of wild creatures. It offers no real value in combat. Roof. There's a lot of timber outside the building. They're destroyed by time, with no effort put into sustaining them with tar or oil. Now soggy and slowly consumed by the worms and fungi, they're beyond restoration. What about the floor? The floor of the hamlet. Inside. Trash. The old trash left by humans includes a soggy cup in the dining area and scraps of old rotting clothes in the yard. The animals, on the other hand, have kept all sorts of leftovers. Nutshells, pieces of fruit, destroyed mushrooms, bones, furs. None of these things seem to be of value to you, though the flies are happy to take care of them. I would love bones. You search the area for a bit but find no graves or ash piles hidden. Of course, you won't know for sure without digging. Dig. What was it again? Trash? The trash was what? It was bones, furs. Yeah, there's not really much else here. But now we know that there's something inside of the bushes, which again was a small little place where those dust foxes were like hiding, so we could see what's inside. The gate. So just outside's fine. The road. The road is surrounded by a lush forest with bushes and shrubs too dense to be crossed. But as you look further south downhill, you spot a few plumes of smoke. So now we know what's further down south. I leave the hamlet. With Yogi is observing the short grass. Judging your grazing on it is worth the effort. No. Down. Down, girl. Down. Do not eat the grass. Down. We can go towards the hamlet. I mean the white marshes, sorry. You're squeezed between the hills and the forest. The only larger beast you spot is a single saurian basking on a boulder, lazily observing you from a safe distance. And what do we know about saurians, right? We have a particular look of a saurian that we're trying to find, okay? We know that the previous Roadwarden rode a saurian, a fucking dinosaur. They gave me a horse. I feel like I got the short end of the stick, okay? But anyways, look. We know what a saurian looks like. It's larger than the horse, dark green, and the edges of its limb, tail, and eyebrows are red and orange. Your ears catch the howlings, the howls coming from the north. Your ears catch the howls coming from the north. Long and loud, and as you keep an eye on the rock ledges, you almost miss a drastic shift in the landscape. The forest turns into a lake, and the few plants growing next to the road mostly bear fruit. The road is not as reliable here as it was in the hills. Parts of it are a bit muddy, and the puddles disturb your ride. Maybe the locals will maintain it before it gets swallowed by the lake. It's not a saurian, sadly. The deep, loud yells of howlers, which again they're kind of like monkey or like ape-like creatures that like, they mostly just scream at you and throw rocks at you. For the most part, they won't bother you, but we've had to fight one or two, I believe, near the beginning of our run of this. Are piercing your ears, concealing any other sound in the area. You're sitting on branches and in the tall grass, not really trying to hide. The thick black and gold furs cover their entire shells, aside from the charcoal black faces with roundish, flat noses and wide nostrils. The younger members of the pack are about the size of your mount's head, but the larger ones would be chest high if it wasn't for the fact that they walk on all fours. Their long tails are like an additional arm, helping them climb, hang from branches, or hold food while they eat. They aren't particularly muscular. When they form their pink lips in the shape of a cup to release their howls, their mouths are so wide they could fit your entire arm inside. And I barely have an arm to begin with, considering that I'm on the verge of death. As you listen to the shouts, you reach for your head. You feel a weird itch, but somehow you can't scratch it. And for some reason, I have one option here, and this option is strange. Keeping my distance, I take a look at the hide behind the boulder. The whitish raw hide covers the grass like a blanket, surrounded by paw prints. The howlers don't wait for you to approach it. One of the larger ones jumps on the ground, leaning on its hands and challenging you with its gaze. Its rather blunt teeth. Too bad I have nothing to plug my ears with. I'm also too exhausted to face the howlers right now, as I can't get to the rawhide fast enough to outrun the monkeys. The rawhide might be interesting to use to sell, but I'm assuming it's theirs. I just have a fish trap for now. You place the basket on the ground and grab a bowl and start digging, looking for a few larger worms. You bait the stick and push it inside the basket, locking it between the sides and cover the edges with the lid. Tying it together takes you a few good moments, but will be easier later on. You attach the entire trap to a rock and push it into the lake, far enough that it sinks entirely. Who knows how long it will take before something large enough swims inside. Still, it'd be better not to wait for too long. Otherwise, the prey may die of hunger. So I can now come back tomorrow on the way back, which I'm assuming I'm going to have to do anyways. Just to see what's inside. Let's travel further down the road. And here it is. The beautiful, beautiful music in this game. But something about the music, it's the way the music is composed, the vibe that it gives. You always feel like you're on the road. Like it's the perfect kind of soundtrack to have for a game about just being on this road by yourself in a land that isn't yours, right? It's a land that you share with others and that others try to deem, as only theirs. It's very solemn, and I really just want you to listen to it for just a moment. It is so good. It is so good. So goddamn good. The lakeside is filled with the chirping of cicadas and crickets, as well as the roaring of beasts from the northern hills. Farther down the road, you see tall yellow grasses, interwoven with flowers and bumblebees, while the peaceful water shines just as much as the wings of dragonflies. There we go, had to fix my mic, sorry. This road is often traveled, and the clatter of hooves carries far. Thanks to the vast field of view, the creatures hiding in the meadows are unlikely to jump on an animal as large as Yogi. In the distance, you see a palisade and a large building set on the side of a crossroad. Once you get closer, you hear a conversation from behind the wall. Two men are arguing about if they really just heard a horse. Again, it's a bit fascinating to sort of read that sentence, but at least in these lands, horses are kind of rare in that sense. It's weird how rare Yogi is as a horse, right? For the most part, the wild animals in this place are mostly beasts of some kinds, right? Saurians and so on. You don't really see many horses, which is odd, but it's mainly because of how dangerous this place is and how much skill that you need to be able to keep a horse with you, basically, right? The game goes to great lengths to remind you that your horse needs you to survive just as much as you need your horse. And so I need to take care of my cute little horsey / dog baby named Yogi, who's named after my real life dog. Maybe they know some useful rumors. That's one of my options, so I can ask them for some information. Or I can say there's no signpost anywhere nearby, so I'd better ask for directions. I don't really care about directions too much, because either way, we get to travel these roads anyways, right? It's our job anyways to go down these roads, so it doesn't really matter. Some rumors, however, would be incredibly helpful, considering that we have a number of loose ends that we're trying to figure out, what they mean and what they amount to. So, hey, you know anything good? This horse is real. And boy, do you have a great place. Yogi carries you towards the open gate on its own. welcoming an opportunity to rest by pushing out the air loudly through its nostrils. A nearby wooden pen won't offer much space for her horse, but should be enough for grazing and a nap. And I hope to God she does not drink the water. As you dismount, two men get up from the front stairs. Their clean-shaven faces reveal they're in their early 20s. The first one is taller than you, broad-shouldered, and wears light brown pants and a darker jacket, both of them made of leather. With an inviting smile, he gets up and moves to open the enclosure. His steps are heavy and slow, but every movement is marked with care, ensuring he won't knock down anything or anyone. The second man looks as different from his colleague as the sun from the moon. He's unusually short and wears a heavy cloak made of black fur, so large he could cover his entire shell. He opens the door of the building, hides his hand, peeks into the room. Foggy! Wait, no, his voice is shrill and unconcerned, sorry. Voice is shrill and unconcerned. Foggy! A messenger, come! I take off some of my bundles, let my horse rest. A hanging barrel sways in the wind, bugging the place as an inn or a tavern. The building resembles a merchant's house from Hovleven. From Hovleven? Holy shit! That's where I'm from. So again, for context, because it's been a while since we played this game. When we started the game, we came from the city of Hovleven, all the way from down here, okay? We went straight into Tullia's camp, and this is how we entered this region that we had to take care of. One of our jobs, again, was to find what happened to Asterion. Baldur's Gate 3? Asterion, who is the Roadwarden. Asterion. This isn't some weird, like, side story about Asterion, right? This isn't how Asterion became a vampire. Shit, okay, maybe if you've never played Baldur's Gate 3, that's a huge spoiler. That's interesting. Whitewashed and with oiled, elegant wooden beams. The fragile walls are high enough to avoid floods and snow, but you have no doubt that a troll, or even a pebbler, can easily break through them. The palisade is short, has hardly any support, and there's no walkway for crossbowmen. Hardly enough for even a makeshift hamlet. Yet it's the open harbor that makes you uneasy. Aside from the fish, any creature, aquatic or not, could just walk into the yard undisturbed. The path is covered with paw prints and claw marks. Better not to leave Yogi outside during the night. God, yes. A black and white bird swoops into the water, then flaps its wings and takes off with a silver, twitching creature in its talons. The large man clears his throat. And what do we have here? Coming from afar, friend. Are there now horses and howlers? His voice is stentorian, close to a shout. You vaguely recognize his accent as one found at the city harbor. Now I can be friendly here, okay? I can use and leverage my history, my pedigree, having come from a prestigious temple in Hovleven, having been an educated Hovlovian. I can talk to them. I can talk to them like alumni meeting at like a frat house. Beta, Theta, Sigma, Alpha, Omega, Phi. I've never been. I literally don't care about those frat. I never went to school. I'm gonna be friendly. Quite far, kind soul. Yogi came with me from. Wait, maybe I shouldn't tell him about the horses. He might want to try to eat it. It's my horse. You try to eat my horse, I swear to God, I'll fucking kill you. Yogi came with me from Hovleven. He nods appreciatively. A weird beast, a donkey that can kill a man. You notice he keeps quite a distance from it, and holds his hand close to his throwing club. Haven't seen one in a while. The roads here aren't that bad. They'll take you north and east with ease. You hear heavy footsteps. A woman shows up in the doorway and looks at you from the top of the stairs. She's even more towering and stout than a son, the man who just welcomed you, with a massive chest. I feel like that's a detail we didn't need. Wow. And a pear-shaped face with a prominent chin, her massive chest. Her movements are so composed and confident, her boobs boobly in the wind. She may be older than 50, with a mixture of grey and dark blonde hair. She has only one arm. That's incredibly interesting. Okay, this implies that it was lost in some way, but usually people lose their arms in combat. The left one, notably muscular and with a hand so large you could likely chop off Yogi's head with a single strike, or crush yours like a berry. Through the slit of her robe, made of creamy worn fur, you spot her trunk-like legs. She runs her eyes over your blade, armor, and mount. Her lips form into something of a smile, distorted by the scar that runs through her mouth. The tall guy looks a lot like her. This is the least Okay, so our character, I forgot, he loves to point out very obvious things. And he doesn't really. Sometimes he's really smart. Sometimes we get options that are like very, very good. Other times it's like, yeah, no shit, Sherlock. The tall man spreads his arms, forming a chain between you and his mother. Meet Foggy, friend. Ma, the rider has come to us from Hovleven. Just look at this horse. His powerful voice turns timid, and he keeps turning his head from left to right and back. Too bad we have no hay. Looks hungry. The woman looks at him with amusement, then glances at your palfrey. Aye, a cute monster you brought, but not enough fat on it. If it ever breaks a leg, bring it here, we'll smoke it for winter. I swear to God, you ever mess with my horse, I'll deal with you. She vaguely stretches out her only hand. What brings you to Foggy Lake, love? Just stopping by? Her voice is hoarse, like that of a traveler who spent too many autumn nights in cold tents, yet carries a hint of motherly concern. I close the animal pen behind me and head toward the stairs. You won't find a nice shelter in this part of the Dragonwoods, especially not in the creeks. She scratches her broad chin with sausage-like fingers. You drink? Friendly, I smile. I'm in good company. I drink in good company. Or I can shake my head and refuse. I think I should refuse just in case, right? I shake my head gently. I don't, but go ahead. I'll accompany you. She scoffs with a kind smile. I don't plan to get drunk either, but it's your choice. Come, dear, share a story with me. I may have a snack to spare. Without waiting for your response, she walks inside. I need to lower the music volume, so it's a bit too loud. But boy, is it a great song. Really, really good. The tall man takes a deep breath. Go ahead, we'll take care of your horse, he encourages you with a gesture. And by that he means, sorry, this is the small one, right? And by that he means we won't do anything with it, adds the man in black fur. Whenever his screechy words follow the deep voices of his companions, he sounds like a brat. We won't be feeding a washing beasts that aren't going in a stew, but we'll keep an eye on it. They find new spots to rest, the side of a boat and a stool near the palisade. I ask them if they plan to join us, or I can go without another word up the stairs. Let me ask them if they plan to join us. The large man chuckles. We don't have any guards. We need to stay sharp. No drinking, no leaving valued possessions behind. He nods towards yours. We'll feast in winter when we get a break from this place. I nod and go up the stairs. At least I've taken care of my horse. The narrow segmented window shutters, let in a lot of light without letting the beasts inside. The air is humid, but carries not a hint of putridity. The heels of Foggy's boots make her steps thunder, even though the planks don't creak. Make yourself at home, she says without looking at you, heading to the trapdoor in the corner. I'll just grab a little something. Your ears catch the screeches of hunting birds and the wind that leaks in through the windows, but other than that, the room is quiet. What's she going to get? Maybe I look where the ladder leads. You climb up the simple rope ladder and reach the attic. It smells like a haystack. The floor is covered with animal furs, bags, and clothes. There's a soul sitting in a corner. What? Or there's somebody sitting in the corner? A bearded man in his 20s who has only the right hand, though unlike the tavern keeper, he has kept the rest of his arm. His sleepy eyes observe you without a word. After he greets you with a nod, he starts to put on his boots. How about the main hall? The room is crammed with stuff. The bare pelt on the ground would be a nice resting spot. The place doesn't look like a real home. No chests, no cabinet for clothes, no toys or tools for simple crafts that would fill the time during rainy evenings. Living with so many windows in the winter would be a struggle. One could clear this place in one morning and move all that's worth saving onto a single wagon. The only things of exceptional value are the cauldron, and the precious steel, and the hanging head of an insect-like monster. Its mandibles don't move. The dim eyes seem intact, and its armored head tells a long story of survival through scratches and cuts. Weird. A very weird place. Again, seems like a bit of a small outpost, but why? Why do these Hovleven merchants want to be here? It does, however, bring me back and it makes me recall one particular thing. There's a deal that one of them has with the people from Hovleven. So if I remember, one of our quests, here we go, explore the peninsula, right? On the 40th day of my journey or sooner, I need to leave, okay? One of these things, here we go. The villagers from Halliesdale are willing to sell linen and sturdy clothing in exchange for a squad of soldiers, as well as some iron. They're already well off, and as long as they won't be forced to follow the United Church, they're open for trading negotiations. Because one of my jobs here was to go and negotiate some like deal with them as well. I checked the basement. The meager light hinders your view. There are dozens of barrels, sacks, stone tools, bowls, and pieces of roasted fish or bird meat. Foggy notices you, but doesn't say anything. She lifts something among a bunch of bottles. There's a couple more animal trophies placed on the top of the barrels and leaning against the walls. Fangs, claws, monster heads, and a lizard skin. Quite a collection. Again, the more loot you have, more monster parts you have, the more rich you are. And what they say about not having enough guards, that's strange, right? And the fact that they clear out every winter, that's even more strange. Think about it like this. If you're here temporarily, what are you going to bring every single time? Well, you're not going to bring a bunch of shit to trade, right? You might, in some cases, bring things to trade, but it's easier to bring coins. The entire place here runs off the same coin system. Although trading would probably get you further in the sense that you can trade anything for anything. You trade by value of use, right? It's how you get more value out of certain things. And also some people may not have coins, but they're totally willing to trade for items, right? It all depends. Why so many? Why so many trophies? Why so many things that they had to bring back anyways all the time? This is not just a band of, what I thought was 3, but actually is 4 people. These are 4 very skilled, very scary, very, very potentially dangerous people who have enough skill to take out, a lot of different kinds of monsters that I haven't even seen yet. I sit down at the table and wait for the keeper's return. You take a glance at the blood on the table, the scattered yellow feathers, and a bowl of guts and talons. You find yourself a clean stool. Foggy shows up soon, smiling, holding a plate with fruits and a cup squeezed among them, a bottle in her fingers, and a cloth under her shoulder. Sorry again, let me just lower the music a tiny bit more. She puts everything on a stool and wipes the table clean. Forgive the mess. Just a part of the job, she explains without a hint of apology. I'd rather just birds in the yard, but the blood lures beasts. Sometimes the folks from creeks brings us meals, but we need to take care of ourselves. She throws the bloody cloth back into the bucket, making a splash, and sits down on a stool, making it look like it was made for a doll. She rests her elbow on the table, looks you in the eyes. Her voice is warm, yet intrusive. So, who am I dealing with? I introduce myself. The bottle removes its seal seemingly by itself. The wax floats in the air briefly, then lands on the table gently. Without a word, she pours the thick liquid into the cup with her only hand, but she doesn't offer you any snacks just yet. Just yet. And also the bottle being the alcohol that she wanted to bring to drink, but she knows that we're not going to drink as well. So we have some options here in terms of we don't have to drink, we don't have to do all these things. We're allowed to just be who we want to be, and we can. I think it's best for us to stay away from getting drunk anyways, because you don't really know what to expect here. So I sure hope this place is safe. Now, again, I don't know what happened with the previous Roadwarden, right? Asterion, we know, has been getting into some very dangerous deals. He's been doing some very stupid things with the people around here. I'm getting some very, very complex political situations as well. It's not very easy to untangle exactly what he's done. I just know that he's gone through a lot. And so I don't really know if I want to bring up his name by saying outright I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. I wonder instead if I should just say, I'm trying to learn more about the peninsula. A tavern seemed like a fair shot. As if this is a tavern at all. Or maybe I could be like, I'm going to need shelter every now and then. I stay on the road for most of my days. Or I always look for a place that will allow me to spend and gain a few coins. I could always try to get some work. If ain't nothing else, I can always carry a message for you. This is the least the deceptive thing I can say, right? The most truthful thing I can say is that I'm looking for Asterion. The least deceptive thing I can say is that I'm looking for work and I can carry a message for them, as a Roadwarden does. I'm not lying necessarily, but I'm not trying to say anything otherwise about what I intend to do. Or I can just say I need to get out of here sooner or later, and just be very sort of nonchalant and distant almost. I don't really know what to do here. I don't really know if I care about the peninsula, but it would be fascinating to see if I can learn some work and carry some messages for them. Maybe earn some of this wealth that they have hiding upstairs. I was hoping to find work. If nothing else, I can always carry a message for you. Her grin makes you think of a hungry wolf. To me, you sound more like a mercenary than a Roadwarden. but we speak in the same tongue. You will find some work around here. She cracks her knuckles just by clenching her fist, then relaxes her hand and observes the fingers. I may have a small job for you, love. And the boys outside want to hunt. Ask them about it. Do you want to join them? Ask them about it if you want to join them. Just be sure you have something to defend yourself with. She points to your chest. I see your jacket is plenty fine, it should be enough. But you can always fix it in Gale's rocks or in Holly's. She nods approvingly. But I haven't seen any shield by your saddle. Better visit Gale Rocks and buy yourself one. She leans back, relaxed and confident. Hurry now, go ahead and have a snack. The flesh of the pear is still white. The carrot is firm and crisp. The plums can't be from here. The place lacks a stove, so they were brought here from another settlement. Also, you just eat like a raw carrot, like just bite it off. I guess you can, right? There's nothing really different from like a carrot and like a fruit, right? Like really, the semantics of like what is a carrot as like a snack versus like what is a carrot as a main meal. You know, it's a bit weird that we don't just snack on carrots, considering that they're very sweet anyways. Like, carrot muffins are very sweet. If you eat a carrot by itself, there's a fair amount of sugar. It's one of the, the many things that you want to throw into a pan first to sear and get all that sort of like flavor out first before you cook everything else. Because carrots, you can caramelize it, and it makes it's like nice, like I forget the English term, like frond or something, on the bottom of your pan. But still, to just snack on it, I don't know, it just seems strange to me. They have a smoky aroma of burnt hazel twigs, smelling like winter food. Such snacks would be fitting even on the plates in the merchant guild. Foggy leans forward with an elbow resting on the table. Well, for me it's a lazy day. At least the rain spare us, so nicely holding off till the evenings. What's the story behind this place? Can't be more than a few years old. Or, what brought you north? You don't look like someone who spends their life cleaning tables. Or you seem to be into some expensive drinks. I want to learn more about them, yeah. Once you win enough dead friends and relatives, clean tables start to look plenty tempting. She leans forward and takes another look at the bottle, sealing it with an approving nod. My ma and pa were both big and strong. One time, they saw me sitting on this kid, twisting his arms, so they started to teach me. Staff duels, running, lifting barrels and rocks. Thankfully, the army chieftain said I wasn't disciplined enough. She rubs the scars on her forehead. So I did a lot of things. Escorted some merchants, joined a group of adventurers, hunted for bounties, guarded a village temple. I guarded a village temple. The last memory makes her voice gloomy. Not all of these things make me proud of myself. She smells the mead in her cup but doesn't take a sip. I moved here only after I lost my arm, and the folks were fleeing the invasion. I took my Elan, a casket of dragons, and joined a more organized group. Arm or not, I still have a fierce punch. She lets out a pleased grunt. I was worth keeping around. Her voice can't hide that she's delighted to carry on with her tale. See? This is how you know. People love to talk about themselves, right? Do you know why? We all have a bit of a narcissist streak inside all of us, too. I need you some water, so just give me one moment. Again, playing a game like this, you really need to be well hydrated because there's a lot of reading. But I like it a lot, right? It's one of the more fascinating sort of types of games I wish more games did. But narrative games or storytelling games are very hard to do. You need to write a lot and you need to write well. And my god, is this game full of extremely good writing, right? So again, not just is the gameplay elements tied to the writing very good, but the writing itself is extremely top tier. But again, to narrate it all, you need a good, nice glass of cold water. Almost choked. Oh my god. Now the years are catching up with me, and even more so with my back. I need to build myself a decent shelter. I crave no adventures, but I'm happy to hear stories from other restless souls. In the meantime, I'll practice this little trick. She points at the cauldron in the middle of the room and starts to make circles with her finger. The ladle mimics the movement, mixing the stew for another minute or two. That's also good for my back. She's a wizard. She has magic. That's a bit interesting that she knows magic. Huh. So, you can move things with your thoughts. She chuckles. Why? Can't you? I don't know much about magic. I can also lie and say I know some tricks, but not that one. I could smile and say, now that's a mystery. She chuckles. Let's hope you don't need to use it on your journeys. But that winter will never come. But the wolves will cuddle with mufflins. Mufflins being like goats, like sheep or something. I could ask about the arm, but I don't know if that's necessarily a very happy topic. And I maybe could have learned a magic spell there, but hey, you know what? Better not to tempt someone who knows magic spells. I nod toward the spot. Wait, maybe I should ask about what's gonna happen next. Will she build a real wall? Actually, no, but she likes talking about herself, right? I nod toward the spot. No, ask about this place first. Ask about this place before I ask about her. We're getting too personal and don't want to scare her off yet. What's the story behind this place? It can't be more than a few years old. It's our third summer under the roof of Foggy Lake, but the Palisade's older. Used to be a camping spot for the bird catchers from creeks, and there are fish here that don't swim in our streams. When we were but newcomers in the north, these lands were hard to bend, but the beasts got used to us with time. A melancholy crawls into her eyes. As she observes the meat in her cup, you reach for a snack. Every year or so, we add something new. The rocks for a campfire, some stools, a fence, firewood shed, boats. At one point, we brought the lumber from White Marshes and built a cabin like the one at the Eastern Road. More folks started resting here, leaving trays from Gale rocks and old pigos. A plenty fine spot for an inn, aye? Her smile is warm. I'm building my home from nothing, you could say, and not for the first time. How about you? Does any of it sound tempting? Huh. That's an interesting question. Again, she's asking us, like, what do we want, right? Again, this is a game that the mechanics of the writing allow you to choose and define your own story. And this feels one of those defining moments of like, well, yeah, what do we want? Because again, our role as a Roadwarden is done in about, 35 days. We solve all these mysteries and the land is safe and we're done. But what happens after, right? Hopefully we get out of this. Hopefully our soul and our shell come out intact. But then what? Then do you just live for the sake of living? What do you do? Is this really what, people want? And also I think she's trying to gauge us. Are we somebody that, can relate to her? Are we somebody that she can relate to, right? Is there a common ground that we can both see eye to eye on? And we have a couple options here, right? That's the dream. A place far away from Holloven, somewhere where I can rest after a day of work without an aching back. Or my home is wherever I can find kind people. Or that's something that I ask myself after I save some dragon bones. You know what? The thing is that I don't really know much about this land, and necessarily a single home is not really the answer, right? Like, at least to me, who I am as a person, at least, and like who I want, I guess like how I project myself onto this character as well. But I guess, really, it's hard to divorce the two concepts, right? The character that you play and who you are. You will almost always project your own implicit biases and who you are onto this avatar of yours in this virtual world, right? But again, I'm the soul, and I'm projecting onto the shell, that is existing within this game. And for me, at least, home is wherever the heart is, right? That saying, that idea that, the people that you live with is what really makes the home. I think that's more true than any particular geographical location, any style of home. It doesn't really matter where you live as long as you have people there. So at least for me, my home is wherever I can find kind people. She chuckles. You can always find some folks who are somewhat kind some of the time, but all of them have their limits of bad days. With a place to return to, you're missing out on souls and their stories. She looks you in the eyes with motherly concern. Who knows? Maybe you're different. Now we have a couple of new options. How do you stay safe from the beast? You're completely open from the lake? Or your name's Foggy and this is Foggy Lake. Is a tavern named after you or after the lake? Let's see. How do you stay safe? Quick legs, love. Her brief yet thunderous laughter makes you flinch. We don't leave any food outside, but our children smells. But a cauldron smells. Fuck, sorry. That was a weird sentence. But a children smells. But a cauldron smells. Every now and then something scary shows up. We lock ourselves in here, for days if we have to. My windows help us keep an eye on the yard. Better that than leaving the hamlet to goblins. You mentioned that having no wall from the lakeside is quite a risk. She nods in agreement and reaches for a dry plum. We don't bring children and old folks around, but this part of the peninsula is not so bad, at least in sunlight. Not much food growing or running around, unless you can live on fish and birds. And the folks at creeks are great hunters, the greats around. Isn't there a harbor in the city as well? How do you keep the creatures away? That's interesting. That's a fascinating sort of like sentence, right? Again, she knows that we're from Hovleven, and now we're building more of a background of like who we are and what our life was in Hovleven. We did this before when we defined, our ability to have knowledge as well as like other things, like our background of like what's been going on in like Hovleven and like how we came into this place and where we studied and all these other cool things, right? And also we talked about like what's in Hovleven. Like we decided that mufflins are common in nearby villages. We decided that the city folk wear funny hats, right? Like they have the committee of funny hats, right? So like that was our choice, and now we get to define it even more. We could say that the creatures are used to avoiding Hovleven. The guards and sailors make it too dangerous for them. We could say they mostly stay in the water, waiting for trash or drunkards to fall off of a bridge. We'd say every now and then something large shows up between the boats or even enters the streets. People learn to run away and leave it to the soldiers, but from time to time they're casualties. Or I could say instead, well, actually, it's a flying beast that bothers. I have always wondered this again, in the sense of like your classic D&D setting, when there are giant manticores and hippogriffs and like griffins and stuff. What the hell do you do? I can't imagine a city in like a say Baldur's Gate is any bit safe or like can be permanently safe from the threat of a griffin falling into the city, right? Like somebody's gonna die no matter what to a flying beast. So I do kind of like this statement a lot. However, this is again going to define the trajectory of what Hovleven is for the rest of my playthrough. So I do need to be at least careful with this one. Hovleven is kind of a rich city. Like we know it's very rich because I believe it was either the Merchants Guild or some other guild there. They're the ones who put us on this quest to find it because they had some kind of deal with Astarion, right? So we know roughly that there's a lot of money flowing to it. However, do we want to paint it as a more, I guess, like wild place? A place that doesn't necessarily have the best defenses? Or do we want to paint it as a place that can hold its own? Right? It's fascinating. Because this almost has implications even on a quest line. The one about being able to send soldiers out to, the small town of Halloysdale, I believe, to send guards there. They can't really send guards if they can barely defend themselves even to do trade. So you know what? They're used to avoiding Hovleven. The guards and sailors make it too dangerous for them. See, that's what I hope for. With enough time and crossbows, walls can only get safer. I just have to play it smart and take some risks. So far, it's working. Any interesting beasts you hunt for? Oh, I hunt for nothing. She smirks. Not since I lost my arm. And the boys outside are not made for it either. They don't drive the fight, you see, and grew up to be wimps. They sometimes club down a hare, but we're all about foraging and bird traps now. The folks in creeks do the real hunting, she adds after a pause. Runners, mufflins, rats. There's a buffalo or a saurian. We have no soil for fields, so game meat is all we have left. She stretches out, getting even taller. Do you hunt often? But this is again another defining choice. I can define how I feel about hunting, but about, taking part in the nature around me. And again, it's going to be funny to make this choice because again, I just decided as a psychopath to fight off a family of foxes and probably mentally scar a bunch of dusk fox cubs for the rest of their life because I threw their parents against the wall, and they're probably going to die later on because they're too weak now. So I could say if I'm about to starve, I don't enjoy killing, so I only need to hunt if I absolutely need to. I'm very pacifist. I can say sometimes I set up traps. I don't risk facing big game. I'm very scared of like the giant monsters. I might even say in Hovleven you won't find much game aside from rats and pigeons, but this doesn't really answer much, right? This basically just like says like, oh, like, that, this is basically me deflecting and just giving more history, which doesn't really sound good. Or I can really, really delve into this dark side of me. I do. Making a monster bleed makes you feel alive. But truth is, I don't. I don't really enjoy killing, right? I don't kill at all in real life, and so I don't enjoy it at all, because to enjoy something, I must have done it at least once. That's one way to clear from your FBI agent. But again, if I'm projecting onto my, my shell in this game, my avatar, yeah, I wouldn't want to kill something. Only if I'm about to starve, and even then, I would like to. I would like to forage. But this also has implications. She called her kids wimps, and she also wants to figure out. I'm assuming can she use this for hunting purposes? But you can. But I'm gonna tell you right now, I'm not gonna enjoy it. You picked a rough trade for yourself then. I used to like it. Hunting, sure, but even more so, crushing the undead. I'm sorry, I didn't realize I was talking to a paladin. Sorry, it's... You know what? I enjoy a good morning where you take a nice cup of coffee and then you go smite the undead. Like, sorry, I didn't know I was talking to a cleric or a paladin. Jesus Christ. This is what I imagine healers in like games, MMOs, like sound like. I've cut down a few bandits for a good pay. Oh. See, I don't know if I'd be down to cut down the bandits. Like, sure, they're evil, but at the same time, it's like... Can I handle killing a person? Maybe. But now, when my dumb ape of a son goes on a longer trip, my heart pounds like a hammer. She thuds her clenched fist against her chest. I read that so poorly as well, that last sentence, sorry. I couldn't go on like this. Bandits also have mothers, aye? Well, maybe. That's why we call them motherfuckers. Your name's Foggy, and this is Foggy Lake. So to have it named after you, or after a lake. The lake has no name. But I don't know why I read it like that. She moves a cup away and leans forward, resting her elbow on the table. Her voice is playful, warm. Yet, I mean. Oh, but there will be stories about this place, believe me. And about passing by the lake while getting to Foggy's. I may not be a dragon slayer or a holy woman. I mean, I think you're as holy as I get. If you want to crush the undead, you're probably as holy as I get. The one way or another, my soul will live on in my name, tied to these walls. You know, it reminds you of the statement, you die two deaths. Once when your body leaves this world, once when your name last leaves the lips of some person that still lives on in the world. I butchered it. She looks at you in silence, then bursts into laughter. You can swear she makes the jar shake. I'm plenty fine being vain. Is that vanity though? Is it vanity to want to be remembered for something? It's hard to imagine if that's true, right? Because it's like, why wouldn't you want to be remembered? Like, why wouldn't you want to almost, stay alive in this world, right? I guess it really depends on what you feel is, being alive, and what your beliefs are. Do you believe in life after death? Do you believe that your name and your, being carries more substance than just your, than just the atoms in your body? Do you believe that your soul can then transcend and thus a remembrance is also a way of tying you to this world? Or do you believe that once you're gone, you're gone? It's strange, right? It's a very philosophical question, right? Yeah, it's also a very sort of like human question. It's a very personal question. It's a very psychological question. Are you someone who cares about the world knowing your name? Or do you simply want to do and to be? And even if you want to do and be very important, very exciting, very difficult and interesting things like saving the world or trying to make the world better, do you still, do you even care about having a name, or do you just want to do it for the sake of doing it, right? Do you care about the results, or do you care about what people think about it? It's hard to really sort of measure this. At least for me, again, if I'm projecting, I don't really care about being remembered. The only people that I care about, that I want to remember me, the only thing that I care about them remembering is that at least I have treated them well. And insofar as, remembering me, I don't want their memory to be forced. I want their memory to be a result of my actions in life. And so, therefore, the memory itself doesn't really matter, but rather the results of my actions, the fruits of my labor, the things that I put out into the world and the effects that it has, the value that it may have, even far beyond my years, right? In the same way that we plant trees for the future, I want to do something that leaves a mark in the world, not for my sake, but just to make the world a little bit better than it is currently today. So, I understand her point, and it's not necessarily bad to want to be remembered, but for me, it's not really what I enjoy. It's hard to answer though, right? We all want to be remembered, I think. That's not really true. I don't think so, and not everything that's vain is wrong, and I wonder if that's necessarily true. But for her, it could be. And I don't really want to force her to change her mind. It's probably better to stay humble. It's difficult. These are hard answers to this question too, because none of these translate exactly to what I just said, right? It's in a way, your choices are: do you agree or do you want to change her? Versus do you agree or disagree? Let's see if I can be a bit more pushy with her, right? I know she's getting old in her years. I know she's lived a whole life, but maybe, just maybe, I can make her rethink and think a bit more about what she means by being remembered. Better for whom, I wonder? For my eternal soul? For the Empress? For priests who used to chain slaves to the altars? All I have and care about is my family, here and in the creeks. Other than that, I just want to be happy. I nod toward the spot where her right arm should be. Any story there? This is a very dangerous move. Because again, this could be a very, very heavy topic for her. She leans back, moving her shoulders and chest up and down as if she's having a soundless chuckle. Not one I'm going to share with a newcomer, dear. Stay alive until next autumn. I'll open a cask of cold cider until you quit a tale. It is treason, treasure, monsters, and dark spells. But I'm way too sober for it now. She grabs a cup. Her wink turns into an awkward blink. Oh, I hate that. When you try to wink and you go like... Instead, and it's like, oh, like... And like, you like hold it way too long. And like, you like try to do one like eye, but your body like... Because honestly, your control of your body is like kind of like, you know... Very, what's the term? Tenuous at like best anyways. And so it's like sometimes it just doesn't do what you want to do. Like I couldn't blink with both eyes separately until like a long time ago. And I had like practice being able to like do it. So, you know, it's kind of hard to be able to perfectly execute like a very precise movement like a blink. And so you end up going like, looks weird. This happened to me a lot. What's gonna happen next? Will you build a real wall? Why not? Then grow my connections in the villages, buy more hard drinks, build another shed, a cabin even, and hire a private warden for these roads, you know, for my guests. She sips from a cup, looking at you, because again, as a road warden, I belong to the public. Right? I am the people's people. I am the people's man. I am the people's people. I am the people's person. I am the people's person. Everybody owns me. Everyone owns me. Fuck. Wait. I don't like that. Wait. What's the difference between being a road warden and being a streamer? Chat, you guys own me. She sips from a cup, looking at you. That's all in the distant future. We at Creeks need to take care of the eastern route, play for the traders. Without trade, all I have is the locals, and they don't even use dragon bones. Oh yeah, I forgot they use dragon bones to make the coins, which is kind of insane. But why do you care, dear? You plan to stay around? Again, more future choices, right? So this is a weird defining point of who we are. Again, this game, there's no written history. You decide your own history. You decide your own character with these choices. Am I planning to stay around at least for a few years? I don't know. Or maybe I want to spend a longer time in Hovlevin, in a civilized place. Maybe not, actually. I find cities to be too noisy anyways. Or I hope to stay on the road, visit other parts of the Dragonwoods, which is this entire section. This whole thing is the Dragonwoods. Or I'll see what the future brings. Very non-committal, very sort of like plain, vanilla, boring. It leaves nothing to imagination. Or maybe it leaves so much that you end up with nothing, right? I'm reminded of that statement of like the more constraints you have, the more creative you can be. Because when you leave it just like this, it feels like, well, it feels like with no direction, you have no direction, right? If that makes sense. But I do want to stay in the road. It's weird, but I think, you know, at least as a road warden, right? If I were given the role of a road warden, I don't think I could ever go back to just staying in one place. I think I would want to stay on the road and see what's going on. I want to visit other parts of the Dragonwoods. Is that so? All the tales I've heard make me glad I now have a place of my own. The trails grow green and thorny. The villages turn empty. The cities lose their reach. She leans forward and stares into your eyes. If that's really your plan, it won't end well for you. What will you do with the roads? Ma'am, you have just blown my mind. She's absolutely correct. I'm a road warden. If there's no roads, what's the point? And also, you may notice, when we started, it was about 10 hours left. Now it's 9 hours and 15 minutes left. Every conversation that you have takes time as well. Again, this game is very deliberate about how it handles time, right? Every single action has like a cost of time that you don't really know, but you can basically infer how much time it'll cost having a conversation like this, right? An hour-long conversation is a lot to spend, but again, our job is to make connections with people here. We need connections in order to be able to survive here, so it's important for us to be able to do all this. You seem to be into some expensive drinks. The pricey ones are gifts I received, or treasures I found when I was young. That's about a few. I like to offer something unusual to the wealthier, more promising guests. She tilts her cup and grabs a purple carrot from the snake plate. From the snake plate. From the snack plate. Wow. I dabbled with some recipes myself. Plenty of brewing tools, so I can name maybe half of them. Still, from ales to hot drinks, I had some successes. Let's change the topic. I must say, love, I rarely meet folks with that many questions. She gives you a warm look. What hides beneath them? Huh, that's interesting. We have a couple of options here, right? Nothing, just getting to know you better. Which is, I mean, that's true, but it's like... This feels like a non-answer in the sense of that, like... Me asking these questions the way that I've been asking them implies this already. Right? Or like very overtly states this already. Like the statement of my questions themselves, their very existence says, I want to get to know you better. It doesn't necessarily mean that, it doesn't necessarily mean anything else. This is as obvious as saying that like water will flow, right? Like that doesn't really say anything. And so I think she'd be upset with the answer, but also for me, I'd feel upset saying this too, because I'm trying to avoid something almost. Like say I'm hoping to learn something useful, which I am, but you know, I'm not really looking for a transaction here. Again, I'm really playing into the fantasy of a Roadwarden. We all need friends, don't we? And I need friends to survive. I'm just one single person. I was bored, that's all. Seems like the worst thing to say too, but by the way. She rests her hand on her stomach. We do. But some of us need them more than the others. I'd say it's better for me to have a peek into the Roadwarden's head. A good one could shake things up a fair bit. The bad ones, well, they die quickly. That's a very interesting thing to say, ma'am. That's a very interesting thing to say. I don't know if I like the way you said that. I do have some things. Okay, so now we have a couple of new options. We can now use this tavern, this inn, as a place to buy and sell. So what do I have to sell? Let's just think about this, right? I have wild plants and a lot of food rations. Troll's urine, as well as a couple of tools, alchemical ingredients. Quite a few, actually. Quite a lot. We also have a fair number of just weird travel items as well. You know, like soap and stuff like that. Crossbow quarrels. I don't have a crossbow, so I don't really need these. I wonder if I should just sell this, but again, it might be handy. Let's see what I can buy, at least for now. Now you're talking, she grins. A new trader has been unlocked. Well, I could serve you some of my cooking. Not food rations, mind you. Need what we can for what we can save for the winter season. Let's say you give me a dragon, and we're trying to cook you 4 times. You need to ride up when you're hungry. And other than that, you won't take any wooded stone, are you? Seeing your shrug, she waves it. Seeing your shrug, she waves it off and heads towards the trapdoor. After a minute, she shows up with a sack that clangs after every step. I can sell you some scraps. She pulls out a couple of iron clasps, nails, and a broken steel blade. A value trash. Very value. If I can rebuild this steel blade, it might be worth it. A sword. No, but I don't really know if I want to. Again, we have an axe as is, which is pretty useful and pretty handy to have in the sense of like it's very versatile, right? So we can use it to clear ways and stuff like that. Very handy to like break things apart. But a sword is significantly more effective in combat because the point at which you can do damage with a sword is much higher, right? The length of the blade is the weapon, the entire length, right? You may also block with it. The entire thing is steel. There's some ability to deflect and parry, like, you know, if you do Hema fighting, you learn certain techniques and stuff. But in general, a blade is much more useful because the entire thing is made of steel. An axe, the handle is basically made of wood and, like, you know, maybe some like high coverings to let you hold it well. It's not really necessarily made for combat because you can only hit someone at the point of the head. They move in close, you're basically as good as dead. We found them while foraging. We have a furnace increase, but you could sell these bits and pieces to someone else. She observes you for a moment and shrugs. Let's discuss the price. Let me take a look first. Sure. Fresh meals is 4 meals bought in advance. I can pay 1. Set of bits and pieces made of iron and steel. I only have 2 coins, so I can't even afford anything. Well, that was a shame. As for things I'm willing to buy with, and I may be willing to buy them, love. Jar of trolls. Let's keep the urine. Okay, let's see what to do. I could do some alchemy. I can also ask about bandits in the north, necromancers. There's a lot. Okay, let's think about this. Let's ask for Astarion, the previous Roadwarden, and see what she knows. Okay, kind of scary, but I think it's worth it. We also need to spend the night here. Like, we absolutely have to. My vitality is, I'm simply not strong enough to survive. So, I'm looking for Asterion, the previous Roadwarden. She looks at you for a longer moment, without the slightest movement. That's very ominous. The way that's said, it almost implies a sense of like, she's trying to figure out why we're asking this, almost. As if to say, like, that's odd that you're asking that. Because what does that mean? And why do you think he's here? I could answer, I'm not saying that I do, but maybe you know where I can find him. I could maybe, question her question and be like, is he here? Like, I'll just say, like, I'm just asking around. But I could also, again, the first one could just be like I'm not saying that I do, right? But maybe you know where I can find him. It feels a bit accusational still, but it's also the more explanatory one. I think this is the safest choice. I also don't want to accuse her, because, like, why would I accuse her? She seems to be mostly straightforward with me so far, and so I think it's fine to fall for the lull of her being a very calm, motherly person, despite her appearances. Although it is a bit strange, because again, Asterion would have walked this road and would have seen them slowly building up, so, she might know. I misunderstood you. She shakes her head and leans on the table. I don't know I don't know his whereabouts. You didn't tell me a thing more than I needed to hear. But what can you tell me about him? She rests her only hand across her stomach, which you identify as her version of crossing her arms. A customer and an errand runner. What's there to say? Your additional questions don't get many more answers. She brings the man's looks and equipment without adding much to what you've already learned from Tulia. He was playing with dragons, really bartered, she adds. That's what city folk do, eh? Seeking riches and locking themselves in a chamber, prisoners of their might. I smile. It's well said, honestly, yeah. Now, while I can frown and disagree with what she said and be like, it's not really what I'm aiming for, right? Or I can be, I can shrug and be like, I see no problem with that. It's weird. These answers are fascinating, right? These answers span the intent, span the range of intent from, like, wanting to, I guess, like, judge what Asterion does, judge those group of people, and also in a way judge myself, because I'm Havlovian. She's trying to get a sense of what I believe in and what I feel like too, right? I could smile and say well said and be like, yeah, I agree that they're kind of like locking themselves up. I can just say also too that I don't really care, but I think I do kind of agree. Locking themselves up in a way like that feels very antithetical to what life in general means like. Like, you need people around you to be able to grow even more. You know what I mean? The village itself, that whole statement of like, you need a village to raise a child almost. I smile, well said. Her chuckle makes you think of a wolf's growl. When was the last time you saw Asterion? She glances at the window. Same as the others, in the late days of spring. We were waiting for his return, me and all the villagers, and moved on. I have no idea where he went. Huh. All the villagers were waiting for his return. Every single one. It's not too weird to think of that as like a normal statement, right? As a normal statement, think about what that means in relation to his role. Asterion is a Roadwarden. Of course, they're waiting for him. He does many odd jobs. He's like a government employee. He's like that guy who rides that car that goes down the highway and paints the lines, right? Everybody wants him, but there's not enough of him. All the villages, you say? She turns towards you with the fierceness of a bear. That's what I said. She does not like repeating herself. But also this reveals something about her personality that I like a lot. Her personality is very simplistic. Not simple as in like she's a simple person, but simple as in like she hides nothing, right? She is as she presents herself. And her complexity, she shows you at them as a whole, right? She doesn't hide them and sort of like try to eke out and like edge out some small inkling of an idea of who she is. You don't need to squeeze anything out of her. You don't need to wring her for all she has. She is who she is. All of the complexity laid bare for you. She's very transparent. Did he do any jobs to you? She presses her tongue against her cheek and lips. Well, I'm not sure. Does he bring me news or deliver my messages? Sold me some stuff, sometimes bought, thing or two. His life wasn't really all that riveting. Just another mug guzzler, sitting in the corner, patching his clothes. Did he sell you anything unusual? She stares at you without blinking. Such as what? That's weird. They see that's a weird statement, right? Because again, that implies that he did, but it also implies that she's not willing to give that for free. So, something hints the way he went, something you found in a weird place, something useful. Maybe I could buy it back. Something you found in a weird place. Such tales stay between me and my guests. She nods towards the wall that separates you from the lake. This place may be open, maybe too open, but it guards secrets just fine. You don't sound especially bothered by his disappearance. That's the thing that I noticed the most about this, is that she doesn't really care that he's gone. You see me as someone eager to make friends. You see me as someone eager to make friends with a vagabond. I'll take it as a compliment to my skills as a tavern keep. Folks come and go, their faces disappear, friends die in my arms. She pauses. Families fade away. There was a different Roadwarden years ago. Now there's another one now. But there's only one Foggy in the north, and one Alon. That slow son of mine, and one Creeks. I have only so many tears to spare. That's true. At some point, people just become people. Again, it's not to say that we don't care about each other, but you can't care on such a personal level. It's just not enough. But she doesn't trust me enough. She doesn't trust me enough unless I come back more and more. May I spend the night under your roof? New shelter unlocked. Yes! She approaches a window above the table and looks outside. Your beast won't make it easy for us, dear. She places her hand on the shutters. It's not a city inn. I don't cook for free. It's not a city inn. I don't cook for a smile, and I don't work to feel noble. I allow folks to lie down there for free. She points the bare fur with a broad chin. That's about it. Yours stays outside. It'll lure the beast to us, but if we move it here upstairs, it'll leave its droppings on my floor. She's annoyed even by the idea of it happening. You want to rest here, love. Ready either to pay with a coin, so it's some food rations, or to spend the night keeping your mouth quiet. And clean after it in the morning, will you? She steps away. So I do need to at least take care of Yogi, if we do stay here. But she is correct in calling out that it's not exactly the safest place to stay with my horse. And my horse can't even go close to the water. It's simply too dangerous, right? But I don't know how far away Gale Creeks is. Or was it Gale Rocks, right? Gale Rocks could be anywhere. And also the Creeks is somewhere as well, right? It could be anywhere around here. I don't know. If I have some more answers, I could maybe run for it, but for now, I still don't know. Can I take a look at your brewing set? I'm a bit of an alchemist. She frowns, but gestures for you to follow her. Don't touch anything. No toys here. She gasps as she squeezes through the trapdoor. Downstairs, she has to lower her head to avoid the beams beneath the ceiling. The humid scent of over a dozen wooden barrels is free of putridity. Your eyes run over the trophies. Claws, bones, jaws, and tusks are gathered in piles, while the staffed heads of various creatures observe you with their fake eyes. Foggy lights a candle with the help of a tinderbox and leads it to a table in the farthest corner. There's instruments made of glass, gold, and copper would allow you to brew even advanced potions. Bottles, scales, knives, alembics, mortars, and a crucible. The jars on a shelf contain simple but useful ingredients. I could put the table to good use, Foggy. Could you now? Her voice is playful, but her face is covered with shadows. You also set the place on fire, or spill my stuff and break this glass thingy. She waves at one of the alembics and heads back to the stairs. We'll see how trustworthy you are, dear. We'll see. She suddenly turns back and gives you a harsh look. Don't think I'll give you my stuff for nothing. We're in the middle of nowhere and ingredients are expensive. You brew, you pay. If I don't like the way you walk around it, you pay more. The rule of the tavern. Before I ask for work, let's ask more about the peninsula. Do you know anything about the peninsula? She nods. I know this and that. Which place? What can you tell me about? A choice. Again, this game is fascinating that you can type in anything and just, you can basically, as long as you know something, you can ask about it. Gale Rocks. Not the nicest bunch of fishes, are they? She chuckles, but there's a motherly concern in her eyes. Harsh lives give birth to harsh folks, dear. They spend every sunny day on their fishing boats, then cut the sea fish all night long to place them in barrels or hang them in the smoker. They don't have crops or no lumber or iron. The coastal birds and rock squabs are their only game meat. It's not too dangerous being a fisher, but all they get comes from trading. You can tell that's not good news. They try to be their own merchants, take their wares south, and with every year they need to burn more pyres. She scratches her broad chin. Hard to believe Gale of Rocks is as old as it is. That they stick to it. I wonder how difficult their lives get. Time is passing. How about the Creeks? Creeks is my home. It's younger than the land by over a year. Maybe small, but I felt better with the folks there than I ever did at the capital. She takes a big breath. We used to live on wild game, fish and forage goods, and after some years we chased the larger animals out of the forest. Now our youths learn carpentry. They make barrels, planks, tools. If trade ever comes back here, we'll have things to sell. It's the only struggle. Now there's hope and laughter. We may be poor, but it's the last joyful place in the north. Her eyes get gloomy as she reaches for one of the bottles from a shelf. Aye, there were struggles. I'm among our oldest. Those who came here with me. She pauses, then puts the bottle away. But now their children have a real home. What else could they ask about? I mean, this is about places in the peninsula, right? What other places could there be? The ruined shelter. I could ask about that, actually. See what she knows about that hamlet. The ruined shelter. It used to be a fine spot for folks moving heavy wares with them, be it in bags or in wagons. Even draft beasts need to rest after walking uphill, eh? Not this beast, of course. She flexes her arm, then bursts into laughter. Just kidding. No shame on hard workers. That shelter is not all that safe, but a good spot to spend an hour or so in the middle of the day while moving from Gale of Rocks to Old Pagos. Say, to eat dinner. But no soul looks after it anymore. I don't know why. It's been maybe 10 years since the last time someone bothered with fixing the gates. 10 years. Asterion hasn't been gone for that long, right? And so Asterion was gone for, I think, only a year before us. That means Asterion in all that time hasn't done anything. Asterion, you lazy motherfucker. You haven't done a single thing as a fucking Roadwarden. This is like when you go into like a new place and your predecessor leaves you with like nothing and you do all the work from scratch because they left you with no solutions. Or when you work in a restaurant and night shift leaves a mess for you in day shift. Fuck you. Sorry, I got very reminded me of some annoying times. The old forest garden. That place. The air there resembles the bogs. Used to be a green and healthy forest, but took a lot of work and brought little fruit. Wrong soil. Last I heard, the folks from White Marshes wanted to let it grow wild, see what happens to it. White Marshes. It's an old village, placed along the bogs in the west. Not so far from here, but the road there leads around the woods, so it takes a good while. She rubs her chin. I'm sure you already know about the Awoken. I don't like what the folks there are doing. Not one bit. But I can't blame them. They struggle, and they don't know how to protect their kids, their elders, their rentiers, their priests. Wait, their kids, their elders, their rentiers, their priests. Now I have a name. I have a name to the place. I have a name to the important figure there. To the priest. She cracks her shoulders. A quiet man, but preaches like a zealot. Always looks like he's on the verge of crying. She opens the door with a wave of her hand, letting some fresh air. She looks at the lake. Used to trade in lumber, those from marshes, until Howler's Dell started selling their own trees for better prices. The trade of marshes died, and so came the hunger. She looks at you with an unclear grimace on her lips. You may judge them, but at least their preacher gave them hope, even if it's tied to black magic. How do you feel about Howler's Dell then? Surely she must not feel too great about them. Well, there's a lot to say about Howler's Dell, dear. Her eyes dart around. You depress her before she says anything of note. It's in the middle of the western road, among the safer lands, with a very large forest garden. And has a large forest garden, not a very large, sorry. Its folks eat and dress well, and have plenty of guards, and the strong spells of the druids. She scratches her knee, measuring every word. Whatever you do, remember to laugh at the mayor's jokes. Her name's Theris. Don't get in her way. Her voice is as grim as her eyes are serious. It's fascinating. This implies, too, that you actually could have gone up here first and skipped, because, again, you don't need to enter Howler's Dell. You don't need to enter any of these places. You can just go on. I could have made the trip all the way up to here in the first place, from Tulia's camp, which was our first, stopping point, basically. So she could have been the one to warn us, at least initially. You recall your memories of Theris, a thin, smiling woman who likes expensive dresses. Foggies who squash her in a blink of an eye. So we have all that. Northern Road. What about Old... do we know about Old Pagos? I don't think so. Old Pagos. You'll do good visiting that place, dear. It may be one of the oldest villages in the north, but even if not, it's safe, with strong walls and safe roads. Their crops are weak, but for generations now they've been connecting stone and building for other tribes in exchange for supplies. Some time ago, they tied themselves to the monks, and now they don't look kindly on those who don't follow the orders of truth. Considering that I am a pagan, and most of the people of these lands are pagans, that's kind of, annoying. She pauses, twisting her lips to one side, choosing her words carefully. But they're plenty fine folks, true believers, something lost in the city. Not ones that deal in slave trading and pillage, thank God. There's a couple of places left. I do want to ask about the Heart of the Forest, as well as the Bandits Camp. Heart of the Forest. No soul uses it anymore. Used to tie the watchtower to the villages in the west. Forget about it! She waves her hand with resignation. The few hours it's gonna save you are not worth the risk. After a few more questions, she gives up. Fine. It's the darkest road in the north, so find yourself a plenty fine weapon and armor, and don't travel there in late hours or with a weak shell. She straightens up and walks around the hearth, like a leader describing a plan to a team of adventurers. Stay as close to the road as you can. You may find parts that seem safe, but nothing but the woods is. Sooner or later, something flesh-chasing will show up. Don't get yourself killed for a couple of sour apples. The care in the middle of the road may seem safer, but there's some nasty beasts living in the grass. You won't return with a twisted ankle. But what about Hovlevin, druids, hunters from the Pelts, bandits camp? I really do want to ask about the bandits camp. Bandits camp. She puts her hand on her side, putting her chest out. Why would I know where the bandits are hiding? Better watch your words. Sorry. I didn't mean to. Sorry. But the druids! I haven't heard such space. The Pelts. It's placed in what used to be an outpost of dragon hunters. Older than mine, but finally renewed. Far away, near the pass that leads through the Hag Hills. And then, so you can rest there and buy yourself some food. Jason, the innkeeper, leads a group of big game hunters. But when they're together, he's like a cloud above them. Otherwise, they can be a lot of fun. They haven't been here long, must not be much more than 10 years, and they mostly keep to themselves. Is there anything else that I need to know about, that I want to know about? Hovlevin, what are your thoughts on the capital city? Also, is there any other like stuff that I can ask about, like in general? Maybe a direction. North. She raises an eyebrow. It's a large place, dear. You want to tell about every single tree that grows here? It wouldn't be too remiss of me to sit down and listen. It'd be interesting. Maybe we could grow a report of some kind. There are a couple things that I could ask about: the woodland edge, the rock slide, and the Ellis Cave. These three have special conditions tied to them that I can ask about, as well as the beholder tree. Let's try the beholder first. Beholder. Her broad shoulders form a straight line. It's a dark thing, this beholder. Gives me chills. The druids told us it's been here longer than any human, but I don't know why they keep such dark magic around. I heard that it eats souls. But, gossip gets cruel when it's about pagans. Eats souls. Rock slide. Let me think. That's a road to far west, aye? The one between Halley's Dell and their fishing hamlet? The rocks blocked it over a decade ago. A long time ago. The Elder's Cave. Now we're moving more towards the southern side, but I hope she still has some answers for us. General update, explore the peninsula. Aye, there are druids there in the old flooded mine. I don't know much about them. They keep close to Halley's Dell, helping with animals and plants. Only 2 of them ever came to Creek soon after we built our first palisade. Maya Lan was but a baby. You ask her what they said, she puts her fist to your forehead. I had no guards, no weapons, not even a wolf. We're older than I am now, but we're walking down these roads as if they own them. And came to warn us, the shamanic twaddle you hear everywhere. The weird is to say humble and respect their woods. That's the same as it is with the priest of Unites, dear. Keep your eyes low, nod without a word, and let them go and do your own thing. And we also upgrade this, explore the peninsula. The old mine set in Hag's Hill is flooded. There's no point in trying to restore it. So there's no way to bring it back unless I can somehow get rid of the flood itself. We asked about the ruins as well, because we're curious about what happened there. And also the woodland edge. Both these are very important, I think. Yeah. Well, the ford. After you describe the ford close to the western crossroads, she scratches her shoulder then her back. Flies and mosquitoes. I'm not a bug sage. I know. The fog would keep them on the ground, but unless you have dozens of leaves-heavy torches, don't try to scare them with a fire. We ask around in white bunches. Living in the bogs, they must have some ways to keep their blood inside. The woodland edge. I mean the stone we placed at the entrance of the heart to the heart of the woods. We did so 5 years ago after a group of traders entered the woods and never returned. They tried to walk around the spotted walls, but instead entered a true dragon's lair. So a real dragon's lair. And she's the one, her group put that there. The ruins, the gates. Okay, the ruins, the gate. Just these last two. The ruins. There are many southern ruins. Ruins by Pelt. Southern ruins. Steep house. Steep house. Wait, that's steep house. Holy shit. Oh, that's why the sign that we saw at that crossroads, why it was used to be on the southern side, because it used to belong to Steep House. It keeps coming back to me. The poor little place. Those ruins used to be the richest village in the north, placed so close to the pass through Hag Hills. Perfect for traders and travelers. Damn. Richest village. Her eyes show sorrow. They cared about a southern road, unlike the hunters from Pelt. They farmed, looked at the forest garden, yet she looks away and puts a thumb on her scarred lips. They would have done better spending their dragons on the proper wall, not that pitiful palisade of theirs. They were inviting monsters. Hag Hills. The hills of hags. Honestly, we're done with Hag Hills, at least from this side. The old mine by the western road is flooded, and there are no plans to build a new quarry hamlet. Old Pagos cuts better blocks of stone anyway. She looks through the window at the lake. The river that flows by the sun, this road is wide and strong with no bridges or settlements. If there's anything behind it, no soul has found it yet. If there's anything behind it. Now the gate. This is the last one. We're getting a lot of good information here. Aye, let's be good for the old Pagos that the gate's still standing. They built it all on their own decades ago. It keeps the wingless monsters away from the western road. It's too bad that the route beyond it has overgrown. Indeed it has. Very poorly, I might add. But now we have a name to the place. A name that I couldn't really surmise in the first place, which is sad. Steep House. The Southern Crossroads. Wait a minute. Hovlaven. Nah, I wasn't let in. She burst into laughter. And tried only once when I was seeking asylum. Too many folks did the same. It was as far away from the front line as possible. Still, not far enough. I didn't want to sit at the gate waiting for folks inside to die and make space. I headed to the peninsula with the rest of my group, and I'd say we got lucky. A few days later, the dragon burnt 100 souls, not more, and many others were lost in the night and hunger. And the southern crossroads. Is our signpost still standing? Our signpost. So she knows a lot, actually. She has made a lot of these, actually. Because again, she went all the way from there. She used to camp out there, and then they decided to go out here. So again, she's a part of the group that built these lands. Because again, she is the oldest. Wow, this is a lot of good information that we're learning here for the rest of our journey on this road. Is our signpost still standing? Our hunters carried it there a few years back. He wanted to warn folks to move through howlers, but it felt wrong, Bowing your head, admitting you lost your home. The eastern road used to be ours, and now she scratches her knee. Even a roadside dolmen is nothing more but a raccoon house. Okay, that's interesting. So we know a bit more. We know that it could have possibly been better, but it's been kind of hard. So Southern Crossroads is one thing. Western Crossroads. Anything about that? Western Crossroads. With Halleck's Creek flowing by it, it's a charming path. A safe one, too. There's Halleck's down to the south and Old Pagos to the west, so it's important for trade. The folks in all the villages place signs to show what they have to offer. A custom older than creeks, she says with a smile. In the east, you'll find this large gate that keeps away the monsters of the deep woods. Thanks, that's all I need, actually. A lot of time has passed. I would like to get some work. Do entry, check on Old Pagos. She grins. I somehow doubt you're here to forage for me, love. Not that I have any room for another soul. Let me think. She runs her eyes over the shelves and the trophies, but it's the rocks around the fireplace that catch her attention. The folks at Old Pagos are weirdly quiet. They're supposed to drop 2 wagons of rocks at my place. Can you check on them? Just find out if they're fine. You mentioned the payment. It won't take much work from a rider. You can get there and back in less than a day. Just ride west there until the road takes you south to the crossroads. Turn west again and you'll find the village. I'll give you, let's say, a dragon bone. I say that's not much, but she waves it off. Her Roadwarden should get familiar with all the villages anyway, right? Just do it when you have a chance. I'll have more coins for you once you prove you can be trusted with the simpler tasks. That's weird that it's quiet, but also, I think this is not the first time we've heard that Old Pagos is quiet, so she has a good point. We had to do it anyways, and at least we're gonna get money for doing something that I was planning to do at some point. What can you tell me about Old Pagos? Maybe one of the oldest villages in the north, but even if not, it's safe with strong walls and safe roads. Their crops are weak, but for generations now, they've been cutting stone and building for other tribes in exchange for supplies. Some time ago, they tied themselves to monks, and now they don't look kindly. But this is the same thing that they told me last time. I'll let you know if I learned anything. I've heard there's some bandits in the north. She makes an annoyed grimace. What can I tell you, dear? You know how it goes. Lost souls need a new path after an offness finds them. But the years go by and it doesn't get any easier. One day they take a pile of firewood. Another one, some bread and clothes. After they start hurting folks, there's no way back. You know they're not at all cruel. You ask her some more, but she's reluctant to give you straightforward answers. You don't have to worry about Glockia's band. They hunt, sometimes say this or that, scavenge after folks who got jumped by beasts. But she never tried to threaten my place. You're safe here. And why would they try to bother a Roadwarden? That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. It's fascinating, right? Because it's like she doesn't really condemn them. She doesn't really condemn what they do. She doesn't really condone it either. But she basically says like, hey, you know, it's the law of the land, right? Again, she comes from a time when, you know, they had to go out into this wild land and make a home for themselves. So it makes sense why she doesn't condemn what they do. But at the same time, they're bandits. They do a lot of bad things. So I'm surprised that she even gave this answer. Because now we have 2 options now. She may be right. Some bandits are just desperate. Or I can frown and bite my tongue. If Haldovan sends its soldiers here, she may face consequences for supporting the outlaws. I sure hope not. I sure hope she doesn't face any consequences. But she is correct. Some bandits are just very desperate. She asks if I have everything I need. Time for me to go. You look around the chamber. I need 1 vitality to brew, and I can just go outside for now. Yogi is drinking from the lake. Why the hell are you drinking from it? Can you not drink from it? I'm clean and tidy, but my clothes are torn and worn. Let me approach the foragers. Once the man in black fur hears your steps, he nudges his companion and nods towards you. They put away the old noose straps they're trying to fix, proper for hares and small birds. The tall one spreads his arms, thundering his loud welcome. A Roadwarden, aye. I guess we're going to see each other a lot. I'm Alan and the shorty here is Zvi. The man in the black fur looks up, frowning. There's also the one-headed man you saw in the attic. Unlike the rest of the staff, he has an unkempt beard and worn clothes made of blue fabric, patched with scraps of flour sacks. He's looking down to examine the trap, but his shoulders are stumped, eyes absent. Alan doesn't introduce them. Stick, nice to meet you. It's my name in this game. Alan smiles. Were you at Pelt of the North yet, friend? He blushes. How's Dalit doing? He blushes. Dalit. Oh god, who is Dalit again? God, wait, let me just remember. A huntress living in the Pelt of the North. Oh, she's the one who can teach me things, but I need to, like, you know, get some money. And she also has known Ieson since she was a child, the owner of that tavern. You know what? She's well. She seems to keep the whole crew together. His voice gets drowsy. Her soul is young, but everyone listens when she speaks. She's always so bored, that one. His smile turns into a grin. Better say hi there for us. Her boss was looking for hard drinks and healing potions. I wish I could have helped her. He glances at his companion, who's holding a observing column of ants running alongside the palisade. You can't... Why? God, that's so useless. But also, like, I guess if I was standing around, that's what I would do too. Like, if I had to stand around and talk to some random road warden, I too would probably look at some ants just walking around as well. They're offering good prices. She was really good at dice. It told us about so many monsters. Zvi adjusts his black cloak. Our traps won't fix themselves. What brings you to us? The Lan frowns at this interruption but says nothing. What's your plan? I could use some work. Zvi nods and the Lan's voice gets even louder. Glad to hear that. There's hardly any fruits left around here, and even fewer mushrooms, so we're planning to do some bird catching. A hunt without killing. Maybe not today, but in 5 days, maybe a bit later. What do you say? Huh. Why would you need my help with birds? Don't just let them walk in the traps? Alan glances at the cords used for snares. These won't do. We want to catch a runner, this big. He raises his muscular arm and stops at maybe a foot above his head. And bring it here, alive. We want its meat for later. The man with one hand interrupts him. His voice is weak, but disdainful. Beasts ought to be dealt with, not tamed. Bonding with monsters brings only death. He has the accent of the city folk, same as yours. Well, bring us full bellies in winter, squawks V. How much do you pay? I mean, it may be a scary trip, but it won't take that long, Erland shrugs. Just show up here at noon or before it, we'll be back in a few hours. You get 5 dragons, 2 if the bird dies. That's a good price for one at noon, eh? Can't leave your horse behind. Oh, I wouldn't worry about it. Alana waves her hand just like his mother. The idiot will take care of it. The one-headed man starts to object, but a harsh shut up from Zvi makes him sigh. His shoulders sag. Alan goes on. He's a loony, and will stumble over his own feet on a trip, but does what he needs when told to. And you know he won't steal it. He hates animals. But he's also going to maybe hurt my... I don't trust people with my pet. I really don't trust people with my yogi. 5 coins is a lot. It is a lot of money. It could be a lot. But I have other ways of earning coins, and after 35 days, it's so early to risk being away from my pet. What did the game tell us? What was the game hammering into us? We need our horse just as much as our horse needs us to stay alive. I'm not gonna risk it, okay? Let's hear more about the plans though, just to see. What's your plan exactly? Alan grabs a rope and shakes it in front of you. We'll catch his neck. Your part would be to keep it from running. Don't hurt it, just make it busy enough for us to surround it. Got a couple options. I feel like I could use some better equipment. Sorry. I had yonder. Well, you shouldn't need weapons for it, friend, but you may look for something worthwhile in Hallow's Dell. The land points west. Akakios is all about trade. Not much for idle talk, but he sells things for all his folks. I'm well aware of Akakios. You may recall that we did a quest for him. His estranged daughter, the fact that he beat his wife, and we got him a potion because his daughter needed it. I hate the man for beating his wife. This all sounds really dangerous. That's why we want you to do the ref part, Zvi smirks. We're just foragers. A Roadwarden knows how to fight, eh? At least it's on its own without its flock. You're putting me in front of a large beast for just 5 dragons? That's bullshit. We haggle for a bit. While Alan gets easily convinced, it's V who cuts the conversation short. Even if his voice is croaky, it's also firm. You'll get 8. Ask for more and we'll do better buying food in Howley's. What are you gonna do with your catch? We'll tether it to the palisade for a day or 2, then take it to creeks. The tribe's folk have no space to look after it through autumn. Maybe they'll drop a few eggs. Even if not, it's fresh food. That's true, yeah. Is there a problem with supplies in creeks, though? They exchange looks. Maybe, admits V, but not big enough to make us pay you more. Fine. We'll be back in 5 days or soon after that. Alan grins. Do so. We still need to prepare, and you better do so as well, but don't make us wait for too long. Let's not test the bird's patience. Just come one day before afternoon. I turn toward the one without the hand. Do you know Tulia? The man gives you a surprised glance, but then looks down and crosses his arms, holding his hand under his shoulder. I'm a new man now. There's nothing that ties me to the army. I remember, this is a very early plot point, but I remember Tulia mentioning this. His squad, who had many more people there, and most of them died. So she was supposed to go there to make a camp to sort of make like a safe place, but mostly their mission failed and they haven't had a very good time. So, but it seems like this guy was a part of the army, and Tulia is at least high up enough that people would know who she is, despite not being directly under her command, I suppose. You crossed a great part of this land, greater than most. Have you seen anything unusual? He takes a deep breath. His voice is close to a whisper. There's fog in my soul. I was on the Eastern Road, hungry and sick, praying for the right to send its beast on me and save me from the pains of living. I remember the touch of fur and the breath of my neck, the claws pinning me to the ground. I was waiting with my eyes closed, and I woke up in the middle of the night, still feeling. I got back on my feet, walking until I reached the lights of the tavern, without so much as a bruise. Foggy may have no faith in her heart, but the right used their kindness to give me a second chance. Lan frowns at the man's words, and there's cautiousness in his voice. He may be crazy, but it's true he came here after midnight raving. Maybe the monsters don't like his scent. So he forgot everything. He hides his stump in the palm of his hand and curls up. I've seen a dragon eating a tree, an ape that tore away the head of a monstrous cat, and a wolf without fur that was as quick as lightning. Now leave me alone, evil spirit. Let my shame rest. He's shaking. Let him be, Zvi grunts at you. Nothing wrong about a man trying to forget. Lan rubs his chin. A fearless wolf friend. I've read about that one. The tribes both saw it in the hearts of the woods. Good thing I didn't go last time, right, Chad? A nasty beast, so we won't find a mate for breeding. It charges at you like a runner and jumps right at your throat. He touches his neck, so even the hunters stay away from it. Too bad we've no crossbows. He raises his wooden club. I better to avoid the deep woods without one. I need a crossbow to go over there then. Okay, I see. So I need a crossbow to go even further, and Caius is way too on edge to say anything else. But he does have visions of some kind. And this game's setting is fascinating, right? Because though it may be fantastical and maybe very grounded, there's a hint of mysticism in it, right? There are things that this game deals with that are very spiritual in a sense and very abstract that you can actually rely on that does usually turn out to be true, right? Because it's spirituality in this game and like mysticism is definitely alive in this world. There's something more that you can draw on than just the physical world around you, so it would have been nice to know about his visions, but again, he's way too on edge. I don't really know how to help him though. Maybe I can find some devil's lettuce. Have you ever met Erastos, the trapper? They exchanged looks as V adjusts his dark look. We don't hunt all that much, just catch birds and so on. Why don't you try in creeks? Do you often have travelers here? Alan's voice is like thunder. Nah, you may very well be the last one this season. Sometimes a group of adventurers who knows why, and southern traders in spring and autumn. Most of our visitors are from the villages, usually creeks and killer rocks. They leave goods at our place, or just outside. My ma barters in their name with the others. I mean, rocks, timbers, furs, and barreled fish can wait a few days. Oh, so she does. So she's almost like a mediator of the trade. That's a bit fascinating. I guess I never thought about that as like a trading system, but it makes sense, right? Because it's like, if you can't stay there, you need to be places. It makes sense to offload it and just pay them, some of the goods, especially if there's trust between people. But also, knowing that, thinking about that now, right? It also tells me a lot that this is a very important place too. So this halfway point, right? Foggy at like Foggy Lake means that they're very well trusted to do what they do, and they're very well trusted by other traders and other people that like live in these lands, which makes sense considering their history. But it means that at least as an objective, I need to get on the good side and really, really ensure that this place survives long periods of time, because we're going to need use of them later in the future, probably. What can you tell me about the peninsula? Svi lets out a sigh. Not much to see here, Trees, rocks, ponds. I've never been in Howley's, he starts, but then a land chips in. I have a couple of times. A nice place, kind folks, lots of grain. They have but one trader, Akakios. He pays poorly, but at least he doesn't waste one's time. Gets straight to the point, see? He thinks for a bit. And they're all so tall. Twice as tall as he is. He points to Svi, who frowns and squeaks back at him. Bullshit! You gossip for the next few minutes, but the things they share with you have little use. You end up saying that you should talk with Foggy instead. She used to travel a lot and speaks with every visitor. You walk away. You're in the middle of the yard. Yogi's enjoying some fresh grass. Well, we can't stay here. And there's no point being here, and I'm very clean. I'm just exhausted. We need to get to someplace safe, and I don't really know exactly where to go. I think we should maybe go back to Hallow's Dell. It's gonna take 4 hours, but boy oh boy, is that's a lot safer, all things considered, right? We need to stay and really rest up here to stay alive. I sure hope nothing attacks us in the meantime. We made it, safe and sound. We ride through the open gate, then carefully dismount. Some of the locals greet you politely, but they keep their distance. Your clothes, torn and worn, make you look like a vagabond. Now, this game has a lot, and you can see exactly what we've been missing from this game. And it's weird. We spent 2 hours and 2.5 hours, and what do we learn? Not much. What little we've traveled is maybe 5 places at best. You know, we've gotten into one encounter, and we've done some unspeakable things to the nature around us. But really, we've learned not much at all. We still have many more questions that we still need to answer, many more things that we need to do, but I think that's as much as I have in me for today. Again, there's a bit of a late start today, so that's all that we can do. But at least now we have a new objective for next time as well, and we're reoriented with the game as it is. Again, we're playing Iron Man mode from here on out again, just like the old rules, so there's no way to reload. If I die, I die, and if, whatever happens, happens. Well, if I die, I'll try it again. But we try our best to stay alive, right? We try our best to stay alive and make the decisions, but we live with the consequences of our actions. We have learned a lot of lore, though. We know about Steep House now. We know what lies beyond the Woodland Edge, and we know what lies beyond the southern crossroads to the east of it as well. We know about the army and some hints of what we can learn from, Caius, for instance. We know as well what else is in the north, and it's something weird is going on with Old Pagos too. We have a lot to discover and explore. We also know about places that there's no need to spend too much time on as well. The Rock Slide, the Elder's Cave. We're being forced into a particular location here, a particular path. And there's no point really worrying about down here except for the quest that we have, which I do want to take care of. Again, a druid being able to heal us sounds very, very useful. But that's it, at least for the session. It was great getting reoriented with this game. This is one of the games that we'll be finishing, this year at least, within the next 2 months. It's a fascinating little game that really rewards you for taking time to explore and discover and just really get yourself immersed into the setting of it. But boy oh boy, you got to be really willing to read a lot. There's a lot to go in this game. Not that that's bad, but you can tell. I've been reading for about 2.5 hours. You can hear it in my voice how strained it is too. What a fantastic game. I'm glad that we got to play this again. And I'm glad that we're reoriented very well and very quickly too, because we were able to try new things as well and try new different aspects of our character that we haven't had a chance yet, right? Being able to be much more aggressive about, taking someplace back. I can't wait until next time when we do actually get to rebuild this little ruined shelter here. But that's for next time, okay? That's all we have, at least for now. Next time, we'll rest up, we'll see what the road has to offer, and we'll see what else is out there. We'll try to solve some more mysteries, some really good mysteries. We may even go towards Old Pagos instead, since that's where we're closest to now, right? It's only a stone's throw away, basically. I mean, half an hour away. Next morning, we'll be able to make a lot of progress. And hopefully, just hopefully, I hope we won't end up dead at any point. It would be a shame if we have to ever, die and reload at some point. It would ruin the feel of this game, I think. But that's all, at least, for this session of Roadwarden. Still, one of the best text-adventure games I've ever played, and I've played quite a few of them. But this one in particular has so much care and so much freedom in what you're able to do. And the story is so fascinating and interesting that, I fell in love with it at first playthrough, and I can't wait to finish it very, very soon.